Can you guys hear me? I think it should be working now. Hold on, I have to adjust the audio levels. They seem a bit high. Not sure what is going on here. Okay, that was bizarre. That's never happened. Not like that. Wow. Sorry about that, guys. That was really awkward. I'm like doing my whole intro and everybody's like, "I can't hear you. What's happening? He's silent." But yeah, all right. Yeah, wow. That was I. Thank you guys for pointing that out though and being patient and bearing with me. I was like, please don't let me have to restart this stream. That's the last thing you ever want to happen when you're streaming, is having to restart it, especially after having you guys chill there for like a good 5 to 6 minutes. For some reason, my microphone, like I set it up the same way every single time before my podcast, and it's never done that before. It just, for some reason, completely disconnected from OBS here and just my PC, and even after plugging it in, it like wasn't recognizing it. I think it's because I have to update my PC maybe. I know sometimes that can happen. You can I'm gonna up the audio a little bit here. Let me make sure I got my software running. Okay. So, anyway, let's try this again. Welcome, everybody, to Press X Podcast. This is episode 102. It is really ironic, isn't it? Because we are, at some point over the course of this podcast, going to talk once again about Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid. I have that in the title here. I'll talk about that later. I'll let you guys know what exactly I'm referring to. But yeah, that was weird. So anyway, guys, thank you for those of you who show up early and wait patiently, and for those of you who, were helping me out here. Before I get into a kind of a rundown of some of the topics that we're going to talk about, I would like you guys, for those of you who are here right now, please hit the like button. I would really appreciate that. So, So I'm sorry, guys. I saw somebody, Aaron, you're saying go check out Reddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors. Very interesting. So I'm seeing what you're talking about. I think I'm seeing what you're talking about. Well, first of all, I see something here that it's not really related to PlayStation, but it says rumor Apple is currently discussing internally to re-enter the gaming console market. Wow. What would you guys think about that? What would you guys think about Apple making a game console to compete with the PS5 and the Series X? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I would be happy, because if they make a traditional console, then it's like more console support, baby. More console support. I don't know if it would be successful, but more companies that want to enter the hardware market, I'm all for it. But if they try to pull some stuff like Google did with their cloud service or whatever, no, that would suck. But I wouldn't necessarily be happy or excited for it. You're saying it's bad, MBG? I guess I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, hey, more companies that are making dedicated console hardware. But yeah, that could complicate things as well, though. So maybe we'll just keep it Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. Anyway, the leak, rumor, not a leak. There's a leak here coming from Greg Miller on Twitter. Okay, so he posted this today about a half hour ago. Now, I don't follow Greg Miller, but I know that he's pretty connected with things relating to PlayStation. And he tweeted out, he said, man, looking like it might be and he puts this in capital letters, very interesting week for PlayStation if one of the three rumors I've heard is true. As such, we're going to delay recording PS I Love You XOXO until Thursday. Gotta wonder what he's referring to. So he's saying that he's heard 3 rumors, but one of these rumors in particular, to him, is going to make this upcoming week very interesting for PlayStation. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. What? MBG, look at the top of your screen. Is there something I should be aware of? What's at the top of my screen? I'm confused. What? Where? I'm like so thrown off. The beginning of this podcast episode is just, I usually have like a format. Maybe this, I don't know. I think this does go well with the format. Just this kind of insanity ensuing at the beginning. But you know, with what Greg Miller's saying here. I don't know, man. I mean, the only thing that's really been rumored, and I'm going to talk about this more extensively, the only thing that's really been rumored that is apparently set to happen this week, I mean, it's Sunday in the US. I mean, Sunday is the beginning of the week for us, technically. Although I think even still, you know, most people, I think, consider Monday. Sorry. Okay. All right, look. I think maybe he's referring to Spartacus, but anyway, let's get back on track here. All right. Here we go. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you are here live watching, thank you. Show your support in any way you can. Just by viewing the content, that obviously helps. If you want to go above and beyond, please consider donating a super chat. I would really appreciate that. That helps support the channel directly here. I tell you guys every week, those of you who show up and watch the podcast consistently, those of you who are channel members, and those of you who just continue to show your support on a weekly basis, you are the backbone of the channel here. So please consider doing that. While you're at it, hold on. I apologize, guys. Somebody. Okay. So yeah, show your support that way. I want to give you guys a quick rundown of some of the topics that we're going to discuss over the course of this episode. All right, let me bring up my notes here. So we are going to talk about Bloomberg. Well, not specifically Bloomberg, but their report that Sony is set to reveal PlayStation Spartacus next week. And I have a lot to say about Spartacus because I don't know, there are quite a few unknowns about the service that Sony is about to bring out, but a lot of people don't seem to agree with my take on what I'm expecting Spartacus to be. At least quite a few people do not agree. We're going to talk about Sony acquiring Haven Studio this past week. Yet another acquisition didn't really create that big of a splash, but it certainly creates an interesting dialogue and conversation. So I want to talk about that. We're going to talk more about Gran Turismo 7 and the backlash that has grown over the past week because of the poor implementation of microtransactions and the poor handling of the economy. There was a big update from Polyphony Digital, and I kind of want to dive into that. We're going to talk about maybe at some point the potential of a PS5 Pro set to release next year or sometime in 2024. We're going to talk about Rockstar. I'm looking forward to talking about this. We're going to talk about Rockstar announcing a subscription service within their live service game. I don't want to go off the deep end with that, but there's definitely some things I have to say about it. And more importantly, I want to talk about why, when we see things like this happen, like what's happening with Rockstar and their subscription service within their live service game, this is why people, between that and between seeing what's happening with GT7, this is why PlayStation fans and gamers alike have every right in the world to be scared, to be just straight up scared about the direction that Sony is heading in with their live service games. I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom, but everybody, I think, understands the difference between assuming something is like, hey, this is definitively going to be trash. There's a difference between that and having a genuine fear of like, I think this could go very poorly. So we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about an insider, a reliable PlayStation insider who, Justin, you're saying, dude, can you spell my name right on the? I apologize, man. I do sincerely apologize. And this is Justin. This is for you and for anybody. If I misspelled your name at the bottom credits roll, I really do apologize. I go over that with like a fine tooth comb, and the fact that I miss it and there's still a spelling error, that's purely on me. It will be corrected within hopefully the next episode, because each month I have to sit down and kind of go over. I have to redo the entire scroll to update it, so I will be sure to fix that. So I do apologize, man. Sorry, I didn't do it purposely. I promise. The Caped Crusader, you're saying, I think Sony's games as a service plan is gonna fail. Just look at the mess of GT7. Gamers will reject it. We don't want microtransactions and grindfest games. No excuse, MVG. Start the stream over, fix it. Don't worry. I will get to it. I will get to it. I promise. Well, you know what? We're gonna dive into that. When it comes to this insider, so the reason, you know, I know it's like, oh, every week we're talking about Silent Hill or Metal Gear. Well, in this case, I haven't seen anybody else talk about this, and that's why I wanted to save it for the podcast, only because it's one of these things where I know you guys understand. I know that my audience here who watches my podcast, you guys understand that this MBG guy, he tends to read into things a little bit too much, and that could certainly be the case here. But I have to talk about it, so we'll get to that. But the first topic I want to dive into here is I want to talk about Spartacus, and I also want to talk about we could just throw in what Greg Miller's saying here. Again, I know people are just tuning into the stream, but apparently Greg Miller is saying that this upcoming week for PlayStation is going to be very interesting, according to him. It's going to be so interesting that he actually is delaying the recording of their podcast, which I think they do a PlayStation podcast as well. And this is coming right off the heels of hearing from Bloomberg that Sony is getting ready to announce Project Spartacus. Now, it's really difficult to determine if that's what he's referring to. I feel like Greg Miller, the way he's wording his tweet, is making it sound like this is going to be like a very big announcement from PlayStation. Thus, it's big enough to delay a recording of their podcast. But he could, he's not divulging what he's been told. He's not divulging exactly what he's talking about. So for the sake of keeping expectations in check, I'm going to assume that he's referring to Spartacus. But what makes this, in my opinion, interesting is there is a lot of skepticism and negativity around PlayStation Spartacus, Sony's service. And I think it's easy to forget. I will admit, Hanzo, yes, you're highlighting the fact that it is worth noting that Greg Miller said he's heard 3 rumors regarding PlayStation this upcoming week. Not one rumor, 3. And he was saying that one of those 3 rumors is very interesting to him. So that's worth highlighting as well. So when it comes to Spartacus, I think I feel extremely confident based off of Bloomberg's reporting and just how much we've been hearing about it that yes, I think the announcement is coming this week. Could come tomorrow, could come Tuesday, could come later in the week on Thursday, maybe even Friday. I think Tuesday or Thursday, I think those 2 days are a safe bet because that's usually when Sony announces stuff. But sometimes they do announce things on Monday, just like they did with the Haven acquisition. Now, when I think about Spartacus, it's tough because there's a lot to unpack. But one of those most important things we have to unpack first is that we don't know everything about Spartacus. We've heard a lot of rumors. We've gotten a lot of inside information about the pricing, what Sony's going to offer, and it all seems to line up. But something tells me that there may be a few things regarding the Spartacus service that we don't know about, that Sony may end up surprising us. Now, a big question that a lot of people have with this service is, is Sony going to announce this in a blog post? I mean, there's been kind of a lot of discussion online and within the PlayStation community about this service of Sony's. And I think a lot of people are expecting and anticipating that, well, Sony's going to make a big deal out of it, right? Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it does feel like it's kind of a big deal what Sony's planning to do with Spartacus. And it would be very strange to me. I won't lie. It would be strange to me if they decided to just relegate it to a blog post. But I also want to say that if this service is exactly what it's going to be based off of what we've heard, like if there aren't any surprises with this service, everything that the insiders or people with the inside knowledge are like, hey, this is what Spartacus is going to be. If that's what it turns out to be, then it actually would make sense to me that Sony would want to do a blog post and not do some type of event or state of play or something. But I have some not concerns with Spartacus itself. I do not have concerns with Spartacus. I'm going to tell you why I don't have concerns with it. But I do have concerns about how other people might feel, how the gaming industry might feel about Spartacus. So the reason why I'm not concerned about Spartacus, just from a personal standpoint, I don't care about it. I don't care about it. I don't care. I mean, I say that now, and I want everybody to remember I'm saying this. I'm saying this now based off of what we have heard. There's a good chance that Sony could come out here with Spartacus next week or this week and surprise me, and this thing may end up being way cooler than I thought it was going to be, and then my tune might change, and I might be like, whoa, you know what, actually, this is pretty sick. I want that to be known. But I'm just saying, if Spartacus ends up being exactly this, it's going to be the combination of, or the combining of PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. And there's going to be 3 tiers. And some of these higher tiers, are the highest tiers going to offer game trials. You're going to have a selection of classic games, game streaming, and you'll get a selection of PS5 and PS4 games. That's all fine, well, and good, but literally none of that appeals to me. Literally none of that appeals to me, and I'm going to tell you exactly why it doesn't appeal to me, because that's just not how I plan to consume my games. That's not how I consume my games now. This is exactly why I'm not subscribed to Xbox Game Pass, because I don't care to consume games in this way. The way I like to consume games is if I see something that I like and it really speaks to me and it appeals to me, I buy most of the time a physical copy of that game, and then I play it. And that's what I do. When it comes to classic games, PlayStation Now has existed for many years now. And there is a selection of classic games. I could stream PS3 games, that I could do it literally right now on my PS5. I could play PS3 games on my PS5 if I wanted to right now. Granted, it would be through streaming, which is why we have to be careful with how much we are setting how high we are setting our expectations for Spartacus. Because if Sony comes out and they're like, hey guys, subscribe to our highest tier of Spartacus and you can stream PS3 games. Like, could you imagine that? Could you imagine how people are just gonna be like, okay, couldn't we already do that? And they're gonna be like, yeah, but this time it's combined. You see? It's combined. It's different. I'm just saying this because this is... people keep positioning Project Spartacus as a Game Pass competitor. And I am here to tell you that if, this is a big if what we know about Spartacus right now is exactly what it's going to be, this is not a Game Pass competitor. Now, I went on I put a string of tweets out on my Twitter account talking about this, and I said, to me, it seems that Sony wants to get the best of both worlds once again. Okay? What I mean by that is what Sony wants to do is they want to create excitement and hype around this new service, even though this new service will not directly be a competitor to Game Pass, because let's call a spade here. What makes Game Pass Game Pass? Day one exclusives. That is what makes Game Pass appealing. Okay? And you know for a fact that when Sony announces this service, and they also announce that we are not doing day and date launches with our exclusives, the only thing you're going to see online are people saying, well, this sucks and Game Pass is better because Game Pass lets you get day one exclusives. Now, this is where Sony is going to have to be meticulous, and I have to imagine they are being meticulous in their wording and in their marketing of this, because if they don't find a way to properly navigate around that conversation and get people off of that conversation, then that conversation, thanks to a lot of the Xbox fan base and a lot of just gamers in general who like Game Pass, that conversation is going to dominate. It's going to dominate. And it's up to Sony whether or not they want to allow that to dominate. So people are automatically going to be disappointed that they're not going to get day and date releases with PlayStation exclusives. And when you consider that, you now have to ask yourself, you know, I see a lot of people saying I should watch David Jaffe's video. I mean, I can't watch it right now. If you guys want to like give me a you saying that David Jaffe believes that Spartacus is going to be a direct competitor? Okay, well, I'm definitely open to hearing some other interpretation. I mean, if you guys want to just kind of summarize some of his points, why he thinks that, I'd be interested to hear them. But I just think that, you know, when you consider that they're not going to do day and date releases, then how is Sony going to position this to make it appealing, to make it as appealing as something like Game Pass? That's the question I have. That's the question because I mean, yeah, they're offering game trials, but I don't know, will that be good enough? I don't know. I don't know that it'll be good enough, because people are just going to say, Sony, why aren't you doing what Microsoft is doing? And do you know why Sony's put in a shitty position here? Because the only thing that Sony can do is turn around and say to people, because we sell our games at full price, we sell millions of our copies of our games, we make too much money on them to do this, we're too successful. That's why they're not going to put them in day and date. Let me see. I'm going to get to these super chats in 1 second, guys. Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with this. Jaffe says Sony created Spartacus specifically because Game Pass exists. Well, I have no doubt about that. I just want to make that clear. Like, I think it's, yeah, obviously, I think that this new service, even though it's a combo of what they already have, I think it's, yes, well, it had to have been created in response to Game Pass. Jim Ryan even made that clear. Jim Ryan said, yeah, we have our own response to Game Pass. And so, you can already tell that Sony is trying to position this as a Game Pass competitor. But I'm just talking from a consumer point of view, the gamers out there, are they going to accept this as a proper Game Pass competitor? I don't know. Saying MBG, for some reason, YouTube won't let me pay you to do a super chat. That's very strange. Is anybody else having that issue? Spirio Music, you're saying, have you seen the 4chan leak of the new PS Plus tiers that Xbox fanboys are now taking as gospel? PS Plus with monthly games, $160. PS Now, $240. Search Idle Sloth 84 on Twitter. Well, I'm not going to search that, but I will tell you, yes, absolutely, I've seen that. And you got, like, come on, man. Is that really what's happening? I haven't really been paying too much attention, but if you're telling me that these morons are running with this, like, Jesus, come on, take 15 seconds to look at that image. It's fake. Like, you got to be kidding me, man. And this is why I am not looking forward to the announcement of Project Spartacus, because you know the fucking war that is about to ensue with the toxic fucking fanboys on both sides. You're going to have the Xbox Game Pass army out here in full fucking armor, man, ready to slay everyone and anyone who wants to say, well, I think Spartacus is kind of cool. I'm telling you, they've been preparing for this war for years, since 2017. All right? So this is why I'm just trying to get out here before the shit goes down and make it known that this is going to be different. This is going to be different. Do not anticipate that you're going to get the same type of deal with Spartacus that you would get with Game Pass. All right? I do want it to be known that Sony could have some tricks up their sleeve. Sony could have a few tricks up their sleeve. And those tricks that they may have up their sleeves right now that maybe didn't leak out, that could be what changes this conversation entirely. All right? Young G, you're saying my man... Yeah, I'm sorry, you say my main. I don't know. I said my man. My main draw is the backwards compatibility. If they show that, they'll probably follow up with God of War sometime, maybe on April 7th, on Thursday, just maybe. Yeah, that's another big conversation we have to have here, guys. Look, I know that there are some really loyal and hardcore PlayStation fans that follow me on Twitter, on my channel here, but we need to make something crystal clear right now. And I'm going to make it crystal clear right now because I don't know what Sony's going to announce. I don't know what Sony's going to announce exactly. But I will say this. If Sony comes out here with Project Spartacus and they say, hey guys, one of the reasons you're going to want to subscribe to a higher tier of Spartacus, the middle tier or the third tier, is because, or I think it's the third tier that they're locking it to, you will get access to classic games. My big question is, what exactly do you mean by classic games? Because that could mean one of two things. One, it could be what I think it's going to be, which is, you know, all those classic games that we have been offering on PlayStation Now for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, however long it's been, just many years now, you get them and you can stream them. That's going to suck so bad. And that's why I'm trying to tell people to be careful with what you're expecting with this, because from what I understand, based off of what we've been told, we are just seeing PlayStation Now integrated into PlayStation Plus, something that has already existed, something that exists right now. Now, I see people saying, well, what if you can download PS1 and PS2 games? If they can expand that catalog, that's a win. If they can make it so you can purchase these games by themselves and download them, that's a win. If they somehow make it so you can natively play PS3 games, by that I mean emulation, that's going to be a win. But we need to understand something right now. And I have to make this known. There's only one way, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, there's only one way that Sony truly succeeds with backwards compatibility. And that is if they match what Microsoft has done. If they cannot do that, then anything they are doing is less than that. And that doesn't mean it can't be good, but it's less. And that is where I have to give credit where credit's due. Microsoft has absolutely beaten Sony to a pulp when it comes to backwards compatibility support. I see titles on videos. I see people on Twitter, and I've talked about it myself, where it's like, play PS1, PS2, PS3 games on your PS5, baby. And people are like, yes, let's do it. And you can see that there is a fan base here that is absolutely desperate for Sony to do this, to make this a reality. They are so desperate at this point that they are willing to pay for a service if that's what it takes to get that. And if you were to ask me, well, MBG, if what you're saying is true, do you anticipate that with Spartacus, Sony is going to match what Microsoft has done with backwards compatibility? My answer to that is absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because we have to remember here that whatever Sony is bringing to the table, and I need you guys to understand this because this is important, unless Sony says, guess what? If you own a collection of physical, if you own a collection of physical PS1, PS2, and maybe even, although it's not going to happen, but I'll just throw it in there, why not, PS3 games, you can put those discs into your PS5 and play those games. You can download a version of that game. Not every single game, all right? But like a large selection of games. Unless Sony does that, then what we are looking at is Sony finding a way to monetize their classic games catalog. And monetize it through a service. And I'm going to be real right now. I'm not about that. I'm not about that for a couple of reasons. One, I'm not about that because I don't really play old games that much. Not that often. All right. I'm not about that too because I'm not going to subscribe to a service just to have access to older games. And I'm certainly not about that if you're not giving gamers, because I'm going to tell you right now, the gamers who care about this the most, the gamers who care about backwards compatibility the most, are the ones who are sitting at home with a collection of PS1, PS2, and PS3 games. And if Sony comes out and says, yeah, you can't use those, subscribe to our service, fuck that. I'm sorry. Like, dude, I'm not sorry. Fuck that. No, I'm not. And I know that people are like, dude, you're being too negative, but it's like, I'm just calling a spade here, guys. Sony's going to, it's based off of my understanding of Spartacus, Sony is going to be charging, well, I mean, technically they were already charging through PlayStation Now, but let me ask you, why do you think PlayStation Now has not been successful? Why do you think PlayStation Now has not been successful? Because people don't care. They just don't. They don't want to stream their games. And they don't care to pay for a service to access these classic games. The next best thing that I think we could get, and this, to me, this is the only middle ground, is again, if Sony can come out and say, you can buy these games. If Sony like does something crazy where it's like, you can buy PS3 games and play them right through your PS5, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I would not expect that, and that would be a big win, I think. But I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to tell you that you have to subscribe to the third tier of Spartacus and then stream PS3 games. Does that sound exciting to you guys? Because that doesn't sound exciting to me at all. That's all. I know that some individuals within the PlayStation community, they get frustrated with me because they're like, "Stop, that's not true. It'll be fine." And it's like, guys, I'm saying what I'm saying because I support you guys. I'm not sitting here with a collection of classic PS1, 2, and 3 games, but I'm talking to the people who want it most. Where I'm like Sony should be on fucking top of this. This is what I'm saying. They should have been on top of this a couple years back, many years ago at this point. And they're like, we don't have to do that. And that's fine. They're doing their own thing. But this is why I'm saying, like, now we gotta kind of accept it for what it is. And that is that Sony just doesn't care about backwards compatibility in the same way that their competitor does. So, for me, again, it's not a big deal. I don't really care about playing these older games. Some maybe I'd probably want to play some Metal Gear Solid 4, potentially. iSiler18, you're saying, I don't use PS Plus, only have it for online and cloud storage. Zero desire to play or stream PS1, 2, and 3 games, and paying to play demos, lol. Well, dude, iSiler, that's what I'm trying to convey right now. Like, tell me in the chat right now. Tell me in the chat. MBG, slow down. You might collapse, brother. It's all good, man. I got the energy flowing within me. I got the energy flowing within me, and I got to get it out. Tell me in the chat right now, if PlayStation Plus was not required to access online games or to play multiplayer in games, would you be subscribed to PS Plus right now? Because I will tell you right now, I would not be. Period. I would not be paying $60 a year for PS Plus. That is the only reason. It's nice to sometimes occasionally get a surprise game that I would like to play from the PS Plus games. But my reality is that if I could play all these, if I could play Elden Ring, like for when I'm summoning people in occasionally to help me or they're summoning me, if I could do that without PS Plus, yeah, I would not be subscribed. And this is why I'm saying it's like, it's going to be really, really, really tough for Sony to sell me on this service. And I'm starting to think more and more that this service is not meant for people like me. And it's not meant for most of you. Because I don't think that the service is supposed to be appealing to the core PlayStation gamer. I see some people asking if I saw Greg Miller's tweet. I did. We'll talk a little bit more about that, maybe, if we can. I don't know how much more I can extract out of it. But the reason why I don't give a shit about Sony pursuing services, just from my perspective personally, is because that's not how I play games, man. And I think that when people talk about Spartacus as a competitor to Game Pass, it is in the sense that it's trying to appeal to a different type of gamer, based off of my understanding. MBG, we don't know what the service entails yet. I agree, and that's why I'm saying I want to make an important note here. Remember, I'm saying this, because when this gets announced and it's like the opposite of what I'm describing, and everyone's going to be like, MBG doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Yes, I might not know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. I'm going based off of everything we've heard about the service. As I said, Sony could have a couple of tricks up their sleeves with this service that we do not see coming, that did not leak out, and they could surprise us all. All right, so let me see here. Hickzock, you're saying, let's check if I can pay for Super Chat. Well, you can, Hickzock, it worked. So thank you for testing that out. Berto Game Tight, you're saying PlayStation made a movie studio just for their games. Do you remember that show they had on PS3? I feel Spartacus is going to open that door again. Yeah, well, there's no doubt, honestly. Berto, there's no doubt that Sony they are expanding in all directions as aggressively and as fast as they can. And the only thing that they're not willing to do, all right, when it comes to this aggressive expansion, is they are not willing to do anything abruptly. I have to emphasize the word abruptly because they're doing it slowly. They're not willing to do anything abruptly that could get in the way or hinder or damage their model that has worked for them with the PS4 era. Sony, here's how you need to view Sony. Sony said, holy shit. MBG, have you seen Sean Layden's tweet? I'll go check it out real quick. But Sony pretty much said, holy shit, look at the amount of success we're having with PlayStation, right? Look at the amount of success we're having with PlayStation. I don't know what tweet you're referring to, by the way, man. I'm on his Twitter, and there's a bunch of different tweets. You might have to be more specific. But Sony's like, holy shit, look at how successful we were with the PS4 generation. This was our most successful generation ever. We're making more money than ever. So when Sony went into this generation, they realized that, well, we have two options. We could just stick to the exact same thing. To the exact same thing. It was a reply? Okay, I'll check in one sec. About the market share. All right, I'll check in just a minute. Sony had two options. Sony said we could go into the PS5 generation just following the exact same formula to the T that found us all the success with the PS4 generation. Or option two, we could do that, but also do other things outside of that to find maybe even more success. And that is exactly what Sony's doing now. It makes logical sense. Any business, any company, if it was you in running PlayStation, you would do the same thing. I know people say like beyond console. Yes, I know. I don't want to hear that because I don't care about beyond console. But that's the reality of not just Sony, but the industry, man. That's not to say that consoles will die and go away. Not at all. But did you guys see that new report that came out from DFC Intelligence, I think, an analyst, where they said that the PS5 shortage is actually significantly worse than we thought. And it's going to hurt Sony. Like, it's beginning to hurt them. Sony is at a point where them not being able to produce enough units is now hurting them. Now, again, that eventually will be corrected. It's not going to be this way forever. But if that goes on for the next year and a half, that's not good, man. If you are Sony, if you are Jim Ryan, you have to suddenly look at the landscape and think, oh shit, we are going to have to do something for now, something a little bit different, you know? And that's how I'm seeing it. Hold on one sec. I want to check. I want to get to these super chats. Hold on one second. Okay, so let me see here. We have a tweet from Hunter at NextGenPlayer on Twitter. He says, Xbox is expected to gain 7% console market share by 2026, says research firm DFC Intelligence. Sony is expected to lose 4% market share during the same time, while Nintendo will lose 3%. And Sean Layden replies with a GIF that says, I find that highly unlikely. I mean, damn, dude, Sean Layden ain't even working for PlayStation no more, and he's coming out here and being like, that guy don't know shit. That ain't gonna happen. Damn. I mean, it makes you wonder, what does Sean Layden know that we don't? He must know something. He must know something, because he shut that shit down real quick. Dude, you're saying MBG, Spider-Man and Wolverine might be cross-gen. I know that sounds like utter insanity. But I promise you, if by early 2023, Sony is not selling millions and millions of units, if by early 2023, your grandmother can't walk into a damn Walmart and buy a PS5 off that shelf, you better buckle up, because yes, you're going to see these games on PS4. Mark my words, you will. But that is only if this shit does not get fixed by the time these games are getting ready to launch. Because these games, Spider-Man, you mean the biggest system seller Sony has? You know what's more likely? I'm gonna be real right now. If Spider-Man's set to launch by September of 2023. September of 2023. If that's when Spider-Man 2 is set to launch, if by that time we're seeing reports that, PS5 sales are seriously lagging behind PS4, Sony still can't produce enough units, Sony would delay that game. They would delay that game for another fucking year if they had to. Until that's not a problem, because that's their biggest system seller they will have. And you better believe that they are not going to launch that game or Wolverine during a time when they can't produce enough units. So actually, I want to retract what I said. It's more likely they will delay these games, even by a year or longer if they have to, than they would make them cross-gen. Although that could hurt their bottom line, and that wouldn't be good for shareholders. So we'll have to see, man. Sony's navigating this just like everybody else is. Maxwell, you're saying it is going to be a Game Pass competitor. It's just going to be worse. It's up to the fans if we say it's better or worse. But yes, it is going to be their Game Pass competitor. Yeah, and I guess that's my whole thing here is like, realistically speaking, yes, it's a Game Pass competitor. But I just think that what you're saying is it's so obviously true. It's so obviously true that, like, people are just going to say that this is PlayStation's version of Game Pass and it's not as good as Xbox Game Pass. That's what they're going to say. And I did say this in my video, but Sony might be okay with that because I've always maintained this. Here's some food for thought. Sony brings out Project Spartacus. It underwhelms. People are like, that doesn't really seem that appealing. How this doesn't, where's the day one launches? Whatever. I'm passing on it. I'm not subscribing to it. I'm just going to stay with Game Pass. Sony's like, okay. If there's 100 people, that's not 100 people. Let's say there is a pool. Game Pass has 25 million subs. Game Pass has 25 million subs. Let's just say there's a pool of 20 million people. 20 million people, potentially. You know what? 20 million is too high. Let's just do 10 million. Just keep it simple. There's 10 million people that are subscribed to Game Pass that are not subscribed to PS Plus, that are not interacting with PlayStation or their games. Say there's 10 million people. Sony, I don't think, they're not trying to get all 10 million people. They know they have no chance in hell of getting all 10 million of those people to sign up for their service. Especially knowing this service isn't going to be as appealing as Game Pass. But what if they can get 1 million of those people? What if they can get 2 million? What if they get 3 million? What if they get, I don't know, like 25 million of the close to 50 million people that they have subscribed to PS Plus now to upgrade to a higher tier? You see, this is where, when I look at Spartacus, it's such a business-oriented move. And Sony, based off of what we understand about it, is not trying to hide that. This is going to make Sony more money. Spartacus cannot fail. Do you guys understand that? Like that, and I think that's like the final point I have to make when talking about Spartacus, is that Spartacus cannot fail, because what Spartacus represents for Sony is only upward trajectory. They can only go up. But the question is, how high up can they go? How much can it climb? What's the line chart going to look like, or the graph? And that's the question, because Sony, the reason why I say it's not a Game Pass competitor is because Sony is not, as far as I know, they're not bringing out the big guns. If Sony wanted to crush Game Pass tomorrow, they could. If Sony just wanted to step on Game Pass, they could. And do you know how they do this? And I'm glad they're not going to, but they could if they wanted to. Here's what they do. All they do is they announce their new service. There's 3 tiers. And you will get day and date releases for all their exclusives with the lowest tier. And then the other tiers are just extra fluff on top of it. The icing and the cherry on top. Okay? And that service is called PS Plus. Game Pass is fucking done. Just like that. Sony has more subscribers than Game Pass. Do you know how insane the growth for PS Plus would be if Sony did that? Do you know how that would explode? Millions and millions and millions of people would suddenly be subscribed and be like, fuck yeah. I get access to games like God of War, Spider-Man Day 1. And then just like that, in one fell swoop, Sony is the leader in the service market. But while I know that doesn't crush Game Pass, Game Pass would still be fine. But that's the key differentiator here. Why can't Sony do that? Because they would lose a bunch of money. They would lose a bunch of money. They would not be able to develop games the same way they do now. The quality of their games would probably be reduced because they can't afford to make them as expensive as they are now. And so, would it be worth it? No, it wouldn't. Not right now. But I'm just saying, in the long run, if you're talking like 5-10 years from now, whatever it may be, it could be less than that, but just in the long run, if Game Pass ever gets to a point where now Sony's shaken, Game Pass has got Sony shaken, they're shook, they got to do something, that's all they got to do, and boom, they're just as relevant, if not, they would be more relevant than Game Pass. Hands down. But Sony doesn't have to do that. And they know this. Do you think Sony gives a flying fuck about anybody who's about to cry tears because they're like, but you're not offering day and date releases with your new service? They don't care. They do not care. Because they're busy counting the money they're getting from 10 million units sold here, 12 million units sold there. You see what I'm saying? There's no reason. There is no reason. I see people saying that what I'm saying makes no sense. You have to understand, it makes sense in the context of Microsoft has an infinite amount of money. Do you know how people say, well, how can Game Pass be profitable? It's not profitable. Are you out of your fucking mind? Game Pass is not profitable for Microsoft. Do you know how much money they're bleeding from that? But here's what it is. It's sustainable. It is sustainable. Not profitable, sustainable. And Microsoft will sustain Game Pass for as long as they need to until it becomes profitable. That's what you need to understand. That's what everybody who has a conversation regarding this needs to understand. That Microsoft, Phil Spencer, has access to Microsoft's war chest, and that war chest is a 2-point-something trillion war chest. They can wait it out for 10, 15, 20 years, however long it takes, until they get to that 50 million, until they get 100 million subs, until they get 150 million subs. Do you guys understand this? Like, this is not rocket science. This is not difficult to understand. This is literally 2 + 2 = 4 logic here. Microsoft has the ability to sustain a service that loses them money for as many years as they have to until it suddenly doesn't lose them money anymore. Now they're gaining money. And once they start gaining money, once they start going into the green, they only go up from there. But it may take many years, many years. Sony could never do that. Sony would bleed out. Sony does not have the money nor the resources to be able to sustain a service like that. That's what it comes down to. Although the real question, and I know I'm going on this long rant, I'm going to get to these super chats. The final thing I have here, and this is the real question. How many millions of subscribers would a service like Game Pass, exactly like Game Pass, how many subscribers would be needed? And at what price a month would they have to pay to make it profitable? To make it profitable enough that Sony could make games like God of War Ragnarok and drop them right into their service and make a bunch of money off of it. That's what I need to know. I need to know because Sony is about profitability. I mean, Microsoft is too, but Microsoft is a business. somebody's saying, Swizz, you're saying it's already profitable. Where are you hearing that? Where are you hearing that? Because I don't recall there being any source claiming that Game Pass is profitable. Again, you may be confusing profitability with sustainability. Anyway, that's enough. They have already shown it's profitable. I don't think so. I will tell you this. If Game Pass was profitable for Microsoft right now, they would be screaming that from the fucking rooftops. Everybody would be talking about it nonstop. Because that's how they would get more investment. I mean, could you imagine the type of investment that Microsoft could get if they could come out here and say, we have a new service that has garnered 25 million subs and it's already profitable? Oh my God. I mean, that'd be huge. I think that Microsoft has an internal goal where they have an estimate where it's like, if we hit X amount of million subscribers, this is when we could possibly start to break even and then go into the realm of profitability. See, that's the thing about these subscription services and why Sony is pursuing it as well. Because as I said, what I said about Spartacus also applies to Xbox currently. Something else I do want to... I'm going to move on to the next topic, I promise. But I also just want to say this last thing. Something else that people need to consider when it comes to, hey, Sony, why won't Sony just jump in the water and just do day and date releases? Why don't they just do it? Because I think people need to understand that that's not a decision you can reverse. Once you make that decision, once you say, you know what, we're going all in with this service and we're putting our games there day and date, then there's no returning from that. You cannot go back. So the only way you can do that is if you are positive that you're going to make it this way. Because if you're not positive you're going to make it this way, that could be the decision that ruins your entire business. So that's something you have to consider as well. And that's why I've tried to explain to people that you think Sony isn't going to experiment with... You think they're not going to experiment with, their service and putting some of their first-party games in there in different ways, like 6 months later, a year later? They're going to experiment with it the same way they're experimenting with PC. And that's what I mean when I say in my tweet that, they want their cake and they want to eat it too. Also, guys, I promise I'm going to get to these super chats. I just have one last thing that I have to say, and I have to get it off my chest, because I put out this tweet and people did not understand what I meant by this tweet, and I get why they didn't understand it, but I just want to clarify it so that everybody understands. I put out a tweet where I said Sony will attempt to extract the best of both worlds with Project Spartacus the same way they did with PC. Release a new AAA game or release new AAA games at full price, sell millions of units. When the sales slow down or stop almost completely, drop it onto PC at full price and extract more sales. Then when that's done, then you drop it into Spartacus. And at the bottom of the tweet, I said it's a win-win-win. And people were getting upset with me because they're like, how the fuck is that a win for the consumer? That's an L for the consumer. And I was like, I was talking in like from the perspective of Sony, like not us. That's not a win-win. I mean, it's technically not a win-win-win for us. It depends on how you look at it. Right? Like it depends on like, well, hey, PC gamers are getting some games, but I'm saying it's a win-win-win because that's how Sony extracts the most. The most. Now, obviously, I understand that people are, well, I don't give a shit how much money Sony makes. I get that. I get that too. But I'm just saying you have to see it. You have to see it from that perspective. You're saying I'm very bright on the screen. You know what? It's because I have my one window open here and I'm not going to get up to close it right now. But, I apologize. Maybe next time I'll try to lower it down a little bit. All right, John O. Thank you for the $5, buddy. I guess it did work. Primal Plasma, member for 12 months. Thank you so much. You're saying Game Pass has exactly 469 games available to play for free. Game Pass may be unstoppable. I mean, it is unstoppable. Game Pass is unstoppable in the sense that it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. Microsoft is all in and they are behind Game Pass. All right. That makes it unstoppable. Again, you're talking about one of the most valuable, one of the richest corporations in the entire world believing wholeheartedly in Game Pass. It is unstoppable. But I'm just saying that it doesn't mean that they won't have a competitor in the long run. And if there's anybody that is positioned to potentially be a competitor, it's Sony. Rocky978, you're saying is Disney Plus a competitor to Netflix? I think Sony needs to do something equal or better than Game Pass, otherwise major fail. Well, Rocky, it depends on the context here. Who's it a fail for? Is it a fail for Sony or is it a fail for you as the consumer? I would say that if Spartacus is going to be, again, I hate to keep sounding like a broken record, but if it ends up being exactly what we think it is and what we've been told, it is. Some people are going to perceive it as a fail. Like, okay, well, this is just kind of not that great. But again, Sony's starting from zero. PlayStation Now has not seen any growth. PlayStation Now has not been growing. But PlayStation Now will grow substantially if it's under the banner PS Plus Extra or PS Plus Premium or whatever the hell they want to call it. Then you're going to see significant growth. And if they want to, it's the beginning. It's the beginning, people. Spartacus is the beginning for Sony. And they're going to see how much they can get for the least amount. And when they find out that, okay, this is where we hit the ceiling. We hit the ceiling. Let's make some changes now. That's what we're going to see. PS Plus Plus Plus. Yeah, that's what Tier 3 will be called. PS Plus times 3 or X3, I don't know. Jay Mendez, you're saying, what if Sony adds media, their own original content? They could very well do stuff like that. This is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of different things they could do. We'll just have to see if they actually do them. By the way, guys, we have over 1,000 people hanging out with me right now, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to check the stream out. Please hit the like button for me. We are almost at 400 likes already, which is awesome. I sincerely appreciate it. Black Manta 1989, you're saying, look on the bright side. If the announcement of Spartacus flops, I sense Sony is going to hit that God of War State of Play emergency button, LOL. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Sony could do this in a very sneaky way where they don't want to make a big splash about it. They just want to establish it, you know? But that doesn't make much sense either. You know what I mean? Because if Sony wanted to, they could stealthily do this. They could literally just change it and not tell anybody. And just put out like a really small, short PlayStation blog press release that just says, yeah, we made this. We combined PS Now and PS Plus. Here's 2 tiers. See ya. They could do that. I see a lot of people telling me to check Greg Miller and Roberto Serrano's tweets. I think we covered the Greg Miller tweet already. But I'll check. I don't know. I don't really follow Roberto Serrano. I don't know if he's been correct about any of his recent predictions. I haven't been following. But I'll check out what he's saying because I've seen a lot of you guys in the chat saying to go check. So give me a second here. Luke the Gamer 117, any updates on Silent Hill? Well, I do have something we're going to talk about in regards to Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid and Konami during this podcast. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Let me see. We have excuse me, Christian, thank you. You're saying subscribed since before the PS5 reveal. Love your channel, man. The game I want most to come back is Infamous because of the PS5 and DualSense capabilities. Besides Metal Gear Solid, do you have an old game you'd like to see again? Well, I will say right off the bat, man, thank you. I appreciate the support. I'm glad you enjoy the content. I would love to see Infamous as well. One of the games I really, really did enjoy on the PS4 was Infamous Second Son. And I was very impressed with what they were able to achieve on the PS4 hardware. So imagining what they could do with the PS5 hardware. Yeah. Another classic game. I talk about it quite frequently. I want to see Sony bring back SOCOM, man. I do. Like, I want to see what a modern day SOCOM can look like, with the PS5 hardware. So we know Sony is going more into live services, so I have no doubt that SOCOM would be a live service game, and hopefully they would not screw it up. But man, even though I don't have much experience with the previous SOCOMs, I have played some of them, but I never like really got into them, and that was because at that time I was just not really into games like that. I was not into like tactical shooters of any kind. I've played a lot of tactical shooters since then, and I just want to see what a third-person SOCOM, just them getting it right, and keeping the essence of what made SOCOM great, not trying to copy, like I think the last SOCOM got dumped on because they basically tried to make it SOCOM of Duty, and people were just like, this isn't SOCOM, I mean, they would obviously have to change things up in a big way to help modernize, but that's what I would want to see on top of Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill. SOCOM. Very different. Maybe you weren't expecting that, but that's what I've been thinking recently. SOCOM with VR2 support. Oh, damn. Damn, that would be awesome. All right. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation that maybe Guerrilla Games is making SOCOM, and they might be. They might be. I don't know that I'm convinced of it, but man, they have. I just want to say, for those who don't know, there's over 1,000 people here right now. Maybe most of you know this, but surely some of you don't know about this. Simon LaRouche, okay, he's a developer. He is directing a AAA game at Guerrilla Games that we don't know about yet, and it's not Horizon Call of the Mountain. They're working on a completely separate game. Some people, and I'm going to be real with you guys, I would be disappointed if this is the case. Some people were saying that they're working on a standalone multiplayer Horizon game. I'm going to be disappointed in that because if it was either you could have done anything or something else relating to Horizon, I'd be like, I don't just want Guerrilla to just be the Horizon studio. I don't want that. I want to bring back Killzone, do SOCOM, do a new IP. Horizon racing game. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. I mean, I feel like getting 3 separate Horizon games would be a bit too much. I do. Saying you keep hearing about a Horizon Monster Hunter style game. That's what I'm thinking. But maybe they could just, do an update like Ghost of Tsushima. But yes, Simon LaRouche is over there at Sony, at Guerrilla Games, working with a team. He's directing a game. The reason why I mention his name specifically is because Simon LaRouche, for those who don't know, he was the director of Rainbow Six Siege. Okay? And he also brought over another major developer who worked on Rainbow Six. I think a producer of some kind, potentially. Something like that. So all signs are pointing to them making some type of shooter. A tactical shooter. Could be Killzone, could be SOCOM. Man, it's going to be fucking sick if it's SOCOM. It's going to be sick if they come out and they're like, yo, we're bringing back SOCOM. That would be awesome. Okay. Darren, you're saying, what makes Game Pass not profitable? It has near zero overhead as they own the servers. People linking non-related costs like acquisitions is disingenuous. Well, I'd say that the reason why it's not profitable is mainly because you do have to take into consideration the amount of the millions and millions of dollars that are going into a lot of games. Like, I'll put it to you this way. We heard that Halo Infinite costs about $500 million to make. Microsoft dumped so much money into it. Do you think that Halo Infinite has gotten even anywhere close to recouping even a fraction of that since it launched? Not a chance. Not a chance. And that's because, and I want this, the reason why Game Pass is not profitable is because Microsoft is not relying on games to make the service profitable in the traditional sense. Microsoft is relying on subscribers. Now, obviously, you need the games to get the subscribers, but Microsoft will say $500 million. You're saying that's bullshit? It might be, but apparently it was up there, man. You're saying that's just a lie, MBG? Well, hold on. I could Google it real quick. Let me see. How much did Halo Infinite cost to make? According to a rumor that began circulation through a German gaming website, Xbox Dynasty, around May, I think this was in 2021, Halo Infinite's budget is ballparked at approximately $500 million US. I mean, that's the only number we have. It could be a lot lower than that. You're saying it was debunked? I would believe, yeah, I'm going to be honest. $500 million always sounded a little bit like, what? How is this game not canceled? But even if it was like $200 million, it's hard to say. Like, the reason why Game Pass, in my opinion, isn't anywhere near being profitable is simply because making AAA video games is extremely expensive. And it's really, like, Sony has to sell, like, 10 million plus units to be profitable. You know? They have to sell, like, 10 million units plus, and that's so hard to do. So, you take that, and you say, well, people only have to pay $10 to access it. Again, I am confident that Game Pass is not profitable. I don't know the numbers. You don't know the numbers. Nobody knows the numbers. Only Microsoft does. But what I do know for a fact, you're saying, MBG, think about it. If it was not profitable, they would not keep it going. See, that's where you're wrong. That's why I tried to explain to you that, no, they absolutely would keep it going, because just because it's not profitable now, just because it's not profitable 3 years from now, doesn't mean it won't be insanely profitable 10 years from now. And yes, that is how Microsoft is thinking about Game Pass. Microsoft is not thinking about, well, how much money can we make in 5 years? They don't care. Microsoft just wants to know, how much money can we make when we eventually get to 100 million subs? Oh, that's how much money? Oh, okay. How long will that take? Then Phil Spencer will walk into Satya Nadella's office and be like, well, I think based on our calculations, we're thinking we might be at 100 million subs about maybe 7 to 8 years from now. They get to 7 to 8 years. So are we at 100 million subs yet? We're at about 60 or 70 million. Okay, that's good. That's growth. So I guess it'll just take us longer to get to 100 million subs. Yep. Okay, keep going. See, this is how Microsoft is operating right now. People don't understand that when Satya Nadella and Microsoft came out and they were like, we are 100% behind Xbox. Xbox will always exist. It is never going to go away. It is now an integral aspect of Microsoft Corporation. And by that, you got to know that, dude, I think people forget that Microsoft, Phil Spencer, was just allowed to write a check for $68 billion for Activision. Like, that tells you everything you need to know. Money is not a thing for Xbox. At least not right now. You think Microsoft is being like, oh, go spend $68 billion, the biggest acquisition we ever did as a company, and you think they're not eventually planning on making all that back? Oh, they are. But do you think they're gonna make that back in the next couple years? No. Again, Microsoft's mindset is 10, 15, 20 years from now. That's how they're viewing it. So, the biggest advantage that Microsoft has over Sony right now is that Sony in no way, shape, or form can compete on that level. They cannot match, not even close, not even an inkling. They cannot touch Microsoft when it comes to the amount of money that can be lost, the amount of money that can be spent, and the amount of money that can be recouped over time. So Maxwell, you're saying Game Pass is not profitable. Even at GDC, when they were talking about Game Pass numbers, they never mentioned profit numbers. Game Pass is not profitable. And yeah, that's what I want to point out, Maxwell, is that, again, all you need to know if you're wondering, well, maybe it is profitable, they would be yelling it from the rooftops. And the day that Game Pass does become profitable, Phil Spencer, Satya Nadella, every single Xbox fanboy, they will not stop talking about it. They will not stop talking about it. You will not be able to sleep at night, okay? Because they're going to be talking about it. So that's all you need to know. Always busy, you're saying if Spartacus is PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now / the PlayStation Plus collection revamped, it's going to be fine. PlayStation Now has had a bad rep from people who don't even use it. Also, are you still hacked? Got a congrats message to contact a number. Okay, always busy. I want to make it clear. If you guys are watching my videos, which first of all, thank you, and you get a reply from an account that is using my name or my image, and they are asking you to sign up for something, or they're telling you that you fucking won something, it is fucking bullshit, and they are scammers. They are bot accounts. Do not interact. And I have tried to do everything I can to stop them, but they keep coming back, and it pisses me off because I want to interact with my audience. I want to talk to my audience, but I'm afraid that they're going to think I'm some kind of robo scammer, and I'm not. And so I will tell you this right now. I will never ask you to go to some fucking place and give your information for any reason whatsoever. All right? So if you get a message from what looks like it could be me saying you won something, you didn't win shit, bro. All right? I'm not giving anything out, and I'm not doing any giveaways. I just need to make that clear, because I've seen people have emailed me about it, and I'm like, just here's what you can do. If you see a message like that, report it. If enough reports get sent in, there's a chance YouTube might do something about it, okay? So, but yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, always busy. I think that Spartacus, even if it doesn't get the big applause and the big hoorah that people are thinking it should get, I think, just like you're saying, it will be just fine. It will be just fine. Bro, but I gave you my social security number. That wasn't me, man. True SSJ Havoc, you're saying, let me straighten things out. I'm paying $120 for both PS Plus and PlayStation Now right now. If I can get both for cheaper in just PS Plus, that's a win for me. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you said that, because that is exactly the point I tried to make previously, where I tried to tell people that at the very least, at the bare minimum, even if you walk away being like, man, Spartacus sucks ass, I hate this. At the bare minimum, okay, they're allowing you to gain access to PlayStation Now at a cheaper price, if the pricing is correct. And that, again, cannot be seen as an L based off of where we currently stand. So, doesn't mean you have to be excited for it. Doesn't mean you have to care about it. But it cannot be seen as an L. New Soul 9, you're saying, hey, MBG, if Sony can't fully compete, they're going to be in trouble because the gaming industry is moving to service and subscriptions. That's a future whether people want to believe it or not. I don't doubt that. I mean, to me, it is, yes, that is why Sony is doing this. Sony is trying to be prepared. They're trying to set up now so that way, if there's just some kind of massive sudden shift, they're able to pivot and meet that shift and be ready for it. That's why you're not, it is the beginning of a Game Pass competitor, potentially. And I think maybe that's where we can end this topic. I went way longer on this topic than I wanted to, but maybe that's where we can end this topic. If I had to guess with Project Spartacus what it's going to be, I think Project Spartacus is going to be the beginning of Sony establishing what they can eventually call a true Game Pass competitor, and what could, in the long run, be one of these standout services within all of gaming. And I think that's what we're going to see, the very beginnings of that, and that's that. So, all right, I'm going to go check out Roberto Serrano's tweet, because you guys will not stop spamming my chat asking me to do so. 38 minutes ago, Roberto Serrano says, soon is where it all begins. A single word that changes everything. Hype, expectations, dreams, and so on. That's what he said. I mean, fuck, man. What are you saying? Look, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I mean, we got Greg Miller tweeting. We got, hold on, let me see. Got Greg Miller tweeting. We got Roberto Serrano tweeting. All right. This would be a good segue into the next topic. I'm going to be putting the tinfoil hat on a little bit early today. Don't worry, though. We still got plenty of topics to talk about. Okay, so there's a few things to break down here. There are rumors of Sony doing an event. There are rumors of Spartacus. We just talked about that, and I think Spartacus is going to happen no matter what. There are rumors of, well, there were rumors of acquisitions. There are rumors of Metal Gear and Silent Hill, of Sony and Konami, of just some big things happening. There's rumors of God of War. I mean, look, I got to think about this for a moment. I got to think about it. While I'm thinking about it, though, oh yeah, how could I always do that. PSVR 2. Let's not forget that, because that's a big thing that Sony has right around the corner. I always forget to mention it. Timothy, you're saying, I don't think Sony would try to make a Game Pass competitor if it weren't profitable. Exactly. Sony's going to let Microsoft go out there. The day Microsoft announces we are profitable, you're probably going to see Sony be like, are you? Well, Sony will have to calculate how expensive their games are, so on and so forth, to make. Onyx, you're saying Halo sells a lot of merch. Sony needs to compete now than Game Pass. Now that Game Pass is weak, because it's not going to stop and is getting better and better. Like I said, man, this is where, look, people need to chill a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. When it comes to this notion that PlayStation is some kind of, like, people talk about PlayStation like they're not the fucking leader by like a good amount. Like, why do you think Sean Layden replied to this comment with like, yeah, I find that highly unlikely? Why do you think Sean Layden is saying that? You think because he's pompous, because he's cocky? He doesn't even work at PlayStation anymore. Because he knows what the fuck is going on there. Sorry if I'm swearing more than normal. I don't know what's gotten into me. I'm just feeling it. So apologies to anybody who doesn't like the swearing, but it is what it is right now. But Sony is the leader, man. And I am not saying that means they are allowed to become complacent, that they are allowed to be greedy a-holes and screw over the customer. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just simply trying to remind people that Sony is not on their back foot, and Microsoft is not going to be pushing them onto their back foot anytime soon. I think people need to understand that Microsoft just made some of the biggest announcements in gaming history. We bought Bethesda. We bought Activision. We own Call of Duty, and you're gonna see Sony when their I think their earnings calls in like a week or two. When their earnings come out, you're gonna see, I don't know if they're gonna break records, but every single time they're like breaking more and more records. They're doing fine, man. They are in the lead and making the most money. Microsoft hopes to get to where Sony is. That doesn't mean that the competition's over. That doesn't mean, again, Sony can just, now that they're at the top, they can lay on their hammock and just be like, well, feed me my grapes. No, that's not what's happening. But I just need people to stop with this idea that it's like there's this crazy, that's what Microsoft wants you to think. That's what people who are not part of PlayStation, they want you to think that, that things are going south for Sony. Like, okay. I mean, look, there's a lot of naysayers, They're saying, yeah, you're right, MBG, but Microsoft is slowly chipping away at the PlayStation Mountain. And you're right, they are. And honestly, Sony is doing it to themselves a little bit too, with some of their buffoonery, like what we're seeing with GT7. right? And Jim Ryan making some mistakes. I'm not saying that they're perfect. They're not. And it's just that because Sony is the leader, because they are on top, any little hit that they take is going to be noticed, and it's going to resonate more, you know? And so that's what we're seeing. And that's why me as a PlayStation fan and many other PlayStation fans, we have to kind of be careful, because there's basically there's not a civil war within PlayStation, or kind of is. I don't know how to word it, but essentially there are people who are like, yo, there's like a toxic PlayStation fan base that says anything Sony does is the best, and anything they will do is the best, and Sony is the best. Sony never loses. Sony, and that's it. Like that, there's no room for anything else. And yes, some those people do exist. And you see, and it happens sometimes. But there's also a lot of people who are like, Sony is screwing up, and we got to call it out, and we got to make sure that they don't start moving into that direction. Like if Sony ever gets to a point where they believe we can do whatever we want and we'll succeed, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. You know? Like if Sony ever gets to a point where the entire fan base is like, go for it, man. We'll be here no matter what. You got my money. You can't do that, you know? And that's where you have to find that good middle ground. Anyway, tangent aside. So he says I sound like Ben Stiller. Do I? Ayo, you're saying Horizon Forbidden West devs, 70 million marketing, 60 to 80 million total, 100 to 150 million. That's an expensive game to make, man. That's an expensive game to make. Anyway, so when I talk about this PlayStation Insider, I need to preface a couple of things here, okay? This is a PlayStation Insider who has been correct, and they have proven that they know someone that knows some shit. But they have been very quiet for a long time, and I'm not trying to bring too much attention to their account, and I'm not trying to bring too much attention to them, because I do not know that they wanted this attention. So please do not take this as anything more than just, hey, MBG's maybe overthinking things here and trying to connect dots where there are no dots to connect. But I felt like I had to mention it because I was like, this is pretty weird to me. This is pretty weird. Okay, so the insider I am referring to is Millie A over on Twitter. Many of you may know this individual, and she has the most prominent thing, in my opinion, that she ever did was, I think it was 3 or 4 days, maybe close to a week. It was close to a week before, maybe it was a couple days, before Sony had their September 2021 showcase. There were rumors floating around, right, that, Sony may announce something big. All she did was post a picture of Wolverine. She didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. She just posted a picture of Wolverine. And after Wolverine was announced, a bunch of people kind of caught on to the fact that, oh shit, she pretty much pointed this out. Like she pretty much gave it to us before Sony did. And I think she's gotten a few other things, smaller things, correct with some info regarding other things across the industry. And so, occasionally I'll check her account and see if she's talking about anything. And I came across this tweet that was just, it was, let me see here. March 21st. The last thing she tweeted before March 21st was talking about Hogwarts Legacy, the state of play. But on March 21st, she tweets up, up, down, down, left, right, BA. And that's like the famous Konami code. Okay? The famous Konami code. And she didn't really, some people, the replies are like, half of the people are like, you trying to say something? You trying to give us a hint? And the other half are people that are like, the good old days. Yep, Miss Konami. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, Okay, I mean, yeah, it's just a tweet. Like, it doesn't, there's nothing here. I don't know. We just know that this is a Konami code. Okay? That's all. That's it. It could mean literally nothing. She didn't say anything, so I just left it at that. But then, on March 23rd, she puts out a poll where she says, which IP would you like to see Konami bring back first? Metal Gear, Silent Hill, or Castlevania? And somebody replied by saying, let me see here. Somebody replied by saying, notice she said, bring back first. LOL. Does that mean they're all coming back? And she replies with the gif of the guy, you know, going. And I'm just like, look, it's probably nothing. It's probably nothing. But we're talking about the same person who the only hint that they gave before a major announcement happened was a picture with no context. No context. Literally, nobody knew what the hell she posted that for. It was just a Wolverine picture before anybody even was talking about Wolverine. Now she's over here posting the Konami code and putting out a poll. It is what it is. I'm not saying that Silent Hill confirmed. Even though I want to say Silent Hill confirmed, I'm not going to say Silent Hill confirmed. So, look. I told you guys last week. Kojima's making Silent Hill. All right. I told you last week, and I'll tell you again. Kojima's making Silent Hill. I hate to be the one that has to pop the bubble and ruin the surprise, but he's making Silent Hill. All right. So something else I want to mention. Hold on. Yeah, I see people bringing up like Blue Box. No, we're done with the whole Blue Box thing, guys. We're done with Blue Box was definitely a mass, like it was the biggest coincidence I think ever. Definitely. But we're done with that. But Kojima is making Silent Hill. Kojima Productions is making Silent Hill. All right. But I wanted to mention this to you guys because, you know, now we're hearing, now the talk is starting. The talk is starting. Greg Miller. You're saying you're currently at the gym listening to MBG. Yeah, I can imagine you under the bench press right now. Kojima's making Silent Hill. I'm telling you guys, Kojima's making Silent Hill. We need a meme of MBG's face on the Ancient Aliens guy. Silent Hill. I'm not saying it's Silent Hill, but it's Silent Hill. And I think I'm feeling pretty confident that Metal Gear is coming back as well. From who I don't know. I have no clue. But I think it's coming back as well. But you know, now we're hearing talk from Greg Miller. Greg Miller's like, yo, I just heard something that's apparently supposed to go down this week. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just, man, it is going to be fun. It is going to be a fun day when Sony has something to reveal. I would say not something to talk about because they talk about a lot of stuff. But when the day comes when Sony's like, you know what, let's go. Let me see here. I want to see what people are saying real quick. It could be an acquisition. I see some people saying that if Greg Miller isn't referring to PSVR 2 or Spartacus, they could be referring to a big acquisition, and I could see that as well. I could definitely see that as well. PlayStation Pete, you're saying PS5 has hardware accelerated ray tracing and 8K 60. Paid $800 for my PS5. Why do we need a PS5 Pro? Well, I don't know that we need a PS5 Pro. But I do just think that it's going to happen regardless of whether we need it or not. But yeah, you know, you cannot convince me at this point Sorry, PlayStation Pete. We'll talk more about the PS5 Pro in a little while, so don't worry. But you cannot convince me at this point that Sony is not in cahoots with Konami and Kojima Productions. Like I was like looking, I just Googled because I was gonna make a tweet, but then I was like, you know what? I'm not tweeting this. I'm not. Save it for the podcast. I was just Googling like pictures of Herman Hulst with Kojima, and like, holy shit, man. These dudes are good friends. Like, I knew they were friends. Like, I always thought it was a little weird. I'm like, Hideo Kojima has a mouse pad with a picture of Herman Hulst's face on it. I mean, you really got to like somebody to have something like that. You really got to like somebody. But when I was looking at all these pictures, I'm like, I'm seeing pictures of Kojima, Herman Hulst, Mark Cerny, all hanging out like they're best buds, like going on adventures around the world. And I'm like, and I'm supposed to fucking believe that this man is not working with PlayStation right now? There's no way he's not. There's no way he's not. MBG, I feel you're setting yourself up for disappointment again. I cannot set myself up for disappointment because I've been living in disappointment. I've been living in disappointment when it comes to this. Nothing has happened yet. Nothing has come together. But I still believe for sure. And my whole thing is when it's revealed that Kojima is making Silent Hill, I just wonder what's going to happen, man. Like, I wonder what's going to happen. You're saying, MBG, considering you're a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, I'm sure this is big for you, but I just don't see Konami IPs being a huge deal. Silent Hill hasn't been noteworthy. Castlevania is hit or miss. I mean, yeah, I kind of get that as well. Like, I do get what you're saying. Kevin Sin, you're saying Kojima equals Silent Hill, Sucker Punch equals Metal Gear Solid. A Metal Gear Solid from Sucker Punch, that would be, wow. That would be fascinating. I don't know that they could nail it, but man, that would be fascinating to witness. Okay, Kapapa. Oh, and I do want to say, like, Kojima, he's making Silent Hill. I'm pretty sure that the rumors we heard about, like, Metal Gear Solid 3 being remade, I believe that. Like, I think that that's just the logical move you make with Metal Gear Solid. If you're Konami, you don't bring out Metal Gear Solid 6. You remake your games, because they're long overdue for remakes, People love them. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are like, Metal Gear Solid 1 should be remade. And I guess, I don't know, man. Like, the thing about remaking Metal Gear Solid 1 is the more I think about it, it would need a lot. I think a lot of things would have to change. I feel like the idea of remaking something like Metal Gear Solid 3 first, I don't know. I mean, when I think of a remake, I don't know if I want some things to be changed. By that, I mean, not changed, but expanded. I don't know if I would want that or not, but sometimes I do wonder, like, would that be necessary? I don't know. Okay, Kapapa, you're saying, I'm enjoying Forbidden West and GT7 and thinking, these are some of the best games ever. And then I open YouTube and every naysayer and their cousin are complaining about them, LOL. Dude, I don't know what, like, GT7, I get the blowback. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Horizon Forbidden West. Because I swear to God, I saw that, like, today, I think it was today, IGN just posted out their review of Horizon Forbidden West just to kind of remind people. And I mean, I know it's IGN and like the replies under IGN are usually a joke, but holy shit, man, people were just dumping on Horizon. And some of the biggest fucking points that people were making is it's like Elden Ring's better. Elden Ring shits on it. And I'm like, you see, this is what I'm talking about. There's fucking toxicity in every community. People want to shit on the PlayStation community because there's a few assholes who want to go around shitting on Elden Ring. Well, there are people doing the same thing. People who are doing the same thing that games like Horizon. And don't get me wrong, like the more I play Horizon, the more I realize that, yeah, it's not a perfect game. It's not a perfect game. But I'll tell you what, I think I have 60 hours in Elden Ring, and I have like 50 to 55 hours. Like they're very close. I've been playing them back to back in Horizon. And I'll tell you right now, neither fucking game is perfect, man. Neither game is perfect. They both have their own set of flaws. And I don't know. I don't want to get into the argument of, well, this is why Horizon's better than Elden Ring, or this is why Elden Ring's better. I just don't think it matters, man. Like, I just think, like, look, the one thing that people say about Horizon, and I think that this was fair, is some people were like, well, you know, some of the characters and the talking, you know, it can get a bit much. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's an RPG. It's, I don't know. I see Scirocco saying it's because of the hostile developers from Guerrilla. Some are blocking people that say Elden Ring is better. Yeah, dude, that's the thing too, is like, I think the worst thing that could have happened in this situation is any developers getting involved with, like, developers of these games getting involved with this conversation. Like, just don't, because it's not good. Nothing good will come of it, you know? But I saw people kind of having this argument where, like, well, Horizon Forbidden West isn't even going to be a Game of the Year contender. It's not even going to be in the talks for Game of the Year. And I'm like, well, I guess what I'm just so confused about, what confuses me about some of the conversation around Horizon, is that the more I play it, the more I realize, like, this really is like a true follow-up to Horizon Zero Dawn. They're not dramatically changing things, right? They're doing what should have been done. And some people I saw like a couple people replying or upvoting a reply of somebody being like, well, Horizon Forbidden West, it just doesn't feel the same way that the first game did. And I don't know why. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm literally like, what? Like, it feels identical in a lot of ways, in a good way, where like they kept almost everything the same, like the things that should have been kept the same. I don't get it, you know? Like, I don't know. Maybe some people are not in. I did see some people complaining about the story of Horizon. I haven't fully completed it yet, but some people were saying that, you know, it's just not, the story isn't as gripping as they thought it would be, or I saw some people saying that the story was like the weakest part for them. I'm like, well, I can get that. Like, as I'm playing through the story, I like the story. Like, I really like the twists and turns that it's taking. And I actually like the direction it's going in a lot. But I can also understand that for some people, you know, maybe it's a little bit like, I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, people talk about how great Elden Ring is. And, you know, I have my frustrations with Horizon. Like, a couple frustrations I have with Horizon. I will admit, man, like, some of the side, like, there's a lot of side quests. And it, you know, there are times where it gets a little bit annoying where it's like, okay, like, I kind of just don't want to talk to anybody anymore. Yeah, because I just feel like I start to feel strange that it's like, why does Aloy, and I know it's part of the game, but it's like, why does Aloy have to take care of literally everybody and their mother's problems? And it just feels kind of like, and I get it, because a lot of people are like, well, you don't have to do the side shit, and I know, but I don't know, I have that itch where, like, that completionist feeling in me, like I have to do it even if I don't want to do it. And maybe, you know, maybe that's messed up, but also, I gotta say this about Horizon. Holy hell, Guerrilla. Please tune down the amount that Aloy talks to herself, because I feel like I'm going insane listening to her talk to herself. And I felt the same way in Days Gone with Deacon St. John. I remember I complained about that. I was like, why is this man, he just won't shut up. Like, he won't stop talking to himself about every little thing. And people were like, and so I remember somebody said to me about Days Gone, they're like, well, dude, look at the world he's in. He's probably a little bit crazy. You'd probably be talking to yourself too. And I'm like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But Aloy, she's got it together, man. You know? Sometimes I try to imagine that she's not actually talking out loud. I try to imagine that I'm just hearing her thoughts. And that, like, to me, that makes more sense. Where it's like, if I was in her shoes, I would be having a bunch of thoughts on like what to do next and what I should do. And that's how, if I view it like that, suddenly it becomes forgivable. But the fact that it seems so, yeah, you're like Deacon St. John yells a lot. Yeah, he did. Don't we all talk to ourselves? We do, yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it's basically her inner monologue. That's kind of how I view it. And what's funny, so when playing Elden Ring, now I got to complain a little bit about Elden Ring. I don't think I've ever played a game in my life quite like this. Like, when I tell you that there are moments where I fucking hate Elden Ring because I'm just looking around and I'm literally like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I mean, really, what am I supposed to do? And the game pretty much looks at you in the face, and it just looks you dead in the eyes, and it gets real close, and it whispers in your ear, "Get good." I'm just kidding. It doesn't actually. I almost knocked my thing down. It doesn't actually say "get good," but it tells you, I don't know, figure it out. And I hate that. I know people are like, that makes it so good. I hate it because, no, not for me. You know what I do? I whip out my phone and I figure out where the fuck I gotta go next. Because I'll be damned. I will be damned if I am going to get on my horse, okay, and just go around until maybe you'll find it, maybe you won't. No, I'm not playing needle in the haystack. I'm just not. I'm not. And I know that, like, there are so many people there are a lot of people within the Elden Ring community that are like, this is what makes it great. And I'm like, that's fine. That's fine. But holy shit, it's driving me nuts. It's driving me a little bit nuts. Also, I'm laughing so hard at some of the platforming in Elden Ring. I got to give it to Miyazaki, man. I got to give it to him. He knows what he's doing. He's like, this is going to be a fun one. Oh, man. But yeah, I will say this, though. Holy shit. I will say this about Elden Ring. I am mind blown by how big this game is. Like, I am literally in awe at every time I think, well, okay, I think I've made it close to the end now, or I've seen everything there is to see. And it's just the game keeps like, nope, we got more. Nope, there's more here. No, and you got like 10 other bosses over here that you didn't even know about. And I'm like, what? Like, how is this even possible? And I saw a tweet a while ago of somebody was like, they were like, yo, Elden Ring is like Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and Bloodborne all put together. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. That sounds like a bit much. And then I'm playing it and I'm like, okay, yeah, it actually is that. It actually is very close to that. It's insane. It is insane. There are areas of this game that are literally just like Bloodborne. There are areas of this game that are just like Dark Souls. And I mean, I don't know, man. I would actually ask the question. I know that people are going to think this is a crazy question, but I'm curious to see, is there such a thing? Is there like a threshold where it's like, okay, the game, like maybe the game's too big, you know, like there's too much here, man. I know that that sounds counterintuitive because it's like, well, we want that, but I mean, it's crazy. Um, Sorry guys, hold on, I'm checking something right now. But yeah, I've just been playing these games a lot, and did I play Sekiro? No, not yet, not yet. I think what makes games like Elden Ring and even Horizon to an extent tough for me is that when I play a game, there's just maybe it's like my OCD, but I genuinely just begin to feel like I have to do everything in this game. I have to do everything because I know for a fact that my feeling, like the negative feelings I have with these games, like not that I have a lot of negative feelings, it's just the certain things that really stick out to me, like it feels like a little splinter. It I notice it. They're all things where it's like you don't have to do that, man. You don't have to. And then I'm like, but I do. I do. It's like, but what if you're not enjoying doing it? But I have to. You know what I mean? And I get like that with games. And it bothers me because it's like, I wonder how I would be enjoying Elden Ring if I didn't give a shit about seeing or doing everything. If I didn't care about the trophies, if I didn't care about unlocking all the things and I just experienced it in the way I experience it, and the way I experience it is you're done, it's enough. You know? And I don't think I'll be able to get an answer to that question because that would require me to let go of this idea that, hey, I don't have to do everything. And even in Horizon, like it's so bad, even with Horizon, one of the things that I begin to be like, okay, I'm not enjoying this aspect of the game is I want to do all of the side quests and I want to talk to all the people. And then there's so much dialogue. And I'm like, I don't want this much dialogue. I don't want to hear all of this dialogue. I don't want to spend this much time watching two people just talk on screen. I just don't. Not while I'm playing this game, but I have to do it anyway. I have to do it anyway. I could skip it. I could not even do it, but it would make me feel like a stone is left unturned. Therefore, I have not fully completed the game. It's kind of torturous, It's kind of torturous. Some people might think like that's insane, but that's how my mind works, man. It works against me sometimes. It really does. You're not completing Elden Ring until mid 2023 then. Dude, I'm trying to do some of the quest lines. Okay, hold on. Hold on a second here. I got one more complaint about Elden Ring. So I remember Jason Schreier tweeted about Elden Ring. And when he was tweeting about his review, he was like, I had to get a notebook out and write things down to keep track of them. To keep track of quest lines, he had to write them in a notebook. And this created a big thing. I talked about it a little bit, but I got to talk about it one more time here because now that I'm really trying to do it, and it created this dialogue online where people are like, is that a good or a bad thing? And there were people defending it being like, no, like that's amazing. That's how it should be. Figure it out yourself, bro. And then there are other people who are like, this is bullshit. Developers should be putting in basic templates that you can follow so you know what the fuck you're supposed to do and you're not completely blind. All I'm going to say is that when I started to do quests and I was like, I'm going to try to do some quests, within like 15 minutes, I was literally just walking around like, I don't even know where to begin. I'm listening to what they're telling me. It doesn't help. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I don't know where I'm supposed to meet somebody. I don't know what I'm supposed to be touching or not touching or killing or not killing. And I immediately just brought out my phone and I'm like, I'm going to have to look up a fucking guide for this. And that annoys the hell out of me because I'm like, I'm pretty sure only like 1% of gamers are actually playing Elden Ring's quest lines the way they're supposed to be played, as in you're not looking up a guide. And I'm serious. How many people listening to this right now who are playing Elden Ring, be honest, how many people are playing Elden Ring right now, and when they decided to do quest lines, you're going to tell me you didn't have to look anything up? I mean, I've just accepted that this is a part of the game. All right. And I cannot be mad at From Software. And I'm going to tell you why. Even though I know I sound like I'm being really hard, I can't be mad at them. Because when I played Dark Souls 1 for the first time back in, like, I guess it would have come out in 2011, 2012. When I was playing it then, I experienced the same thing. I found that I was so interested and intrigued by the world and the characters and wanting to explore and do more, but I was so like lost that back then I remember I was so reliant on the wiki, the Dark Souls wiki, and looking things up, because there are just like many things within these games. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't doubt that. Maybe I'm stupid, or I'm just dense. I don't doubt that either. But there's just so many things that if I didn't look this shit up, I would have never discovered it. And I would have just went my days never knowing about it. You know? I see people saying like MBG must want more modern gaming. I mean, look, I'm just being honest, you know? Like, I get that it's easy for people to be like, oh, you need to get good, or you don't know how to play games right. And, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe it's just I feel that there's a need, like I have to get things done in a certain time frame. I mean, if I had like an endless amount of time and I could just, and if Elden Ring was like, this is the only game I'm going to play for the next 2 years, I probably wouldn't need to look anything up, because I would just figure I'm going to discover shit on my own at some point. But it gets frustrating to me, man. Like, it does. It gets frustrating with any game where it's like, maybe I'm asking too much from a game. And I know that people make fun of it because it's like, oh, this is what modern games are like. But when I sit down to play a game, just because of the way my life is right now and the responsibilities and the things that I have to do on a day-to-day basis, I need to play a game that I feel like genuinely respects my time. And part of that is I just cannot play games where I feel like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, you know? And it drives me insane. It does. And I guess maybe in a way it does speak to my desire to want to kind of play some more linear games. Like, I'm so excited for God of War because it's going to be linear, probably somewhat wide linear. But I am so happy about that because I'm like, oh, thank God, salvation. Like, I can't do another open world game anytime soon. I need a break. I really do. But yeah. But I do want to say, I know that I just aired some of my grievances with Horizon and Elden Ring, but I want to make it known I fucking love both of these games. They're both masterpieces in their own way. I'm loving this. I'm loving the idea that these are the two games I get to play back to back. It's pretty awesome. So I need to say that too, because I know people are probably going to think, damn, MBG's not having a good time. No, I am. But you know how it is. It's like, you know, that's just how the human brain is. We happen to we are designed to point out the things that are not right in our minds, the things that are not perfect. You know, it's like having a whole field of sunflowers, and you can enjoy that field of sunflowers, but then over there in the right corner, there's like this giant, I don't know, weed, whatever, you know, just something that needs to go. And until you get rid of it, you're not going to be able to fully enjoy that entire field of sunflowers. So I take it MBG won't be playing Starfield. Oh, dude, hell no. I doubt it. Starfield would have to be doing some crazy stuff to make me be like, I'm going to go play Starfield. You're saying, MBG, I have no idea how you find some quest parts without the wiki, and I finished all these games. I mean, I guess an argument could also be made. I'm going to move on to the next topic in just a minute, but an argument maybe could be made that, oh, well, they designed the game this way purposely because they want the community to come together and figure it out. And I get that. I get that. I can feel that. You know, like, all right, okay, sure, sure. You know. Give me one sec, guys. I'm trying to look something up here. What? So, I mean, okay. Sorry, I was just looking something up just to make sure I didn't miss anything. I got a couple super chats here. Timothy, you're saying you're supposed to follow the grace on the map. No, I know that. I know that. I'm talking, I mean, yeah, they do put that there. So if you want to just like complete the main quest of the game, they give you some type of guide, which is nice. It's better than nothing. But I'm talking like about completing all the extra things. Not even all of them, but just even some of them, you know? Siler, you're saying my issue with Horizon is how bad the climbing mechanic is, how grindy it is to level up armor, weapons, and pouches. For Elden Ring, I had to look up where quests are. I'm not going to figure out that crap. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Sometimes I worry that as we go further into the future and gaming as a medium, it grows. I do sometimes fear that are we eventually going to get to a point where we are taking something that didn't actually need to be changed and it didn't actually need to be really altered much at all, but because of there's always the need for progress and we need, refinement, that we get to a point where it's like maybe it's too much, maybe it's a little too much. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but it is just a thought that I have sometimes, and I think that maybe the answer is no, but what we need to make sure is that there is a lot of diversity. I think that's important. Like I think within the gaming industry, there's always going to be diversity, but one of the reasons why I do get so excited to see PlayStation studios grow and see them acquire different studios and hear that they're working on different things is because it does make me feel like we can expect a lot of diversity. I mean, when I think of 2021, my experience with 2021 with PlayStation was very different. I'm playing games like Returnal. I'm playing games like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Very, very linear games, like fully linear games. And, they were fun and they were enjoyable. And now I'm playing very different games from those. And they are enjoyable as well. But I guess in a way, it almost feels like in a way I'm still discovering what I really like and what I maybe am not so fond of. I still feel like even now I'm learning that with some games I play. But you talk about the climbing mechanics. I mean, I don't know. The climbing mechanics I haven't really had a problem with. I guess maybe because I haven't been actively looking to climb that much. But it's pretty simple. Like I feel like with the climbing mechanics in Horizon, I just don't have to do anything but hold up on the stick and just tap X, And I guess maybe to a lot of people that would be a bad thing. Okay, hold on. I missed a couple super chats here. The Caped Crusader, you're saying Elden Ring fanboys are PC Master Race trolls. I mean, look, I think that what you see with Elden Ring is just is the same thing that happens with pretty much everything. You get two vocal minority groups yelling at each other back and forth, and therefore you can't hear anybody in the middle. Zay Very Rare, you're saying good afternoon, MBG. I hope your day is going well so far. Well, thank you so much. It is. You're saying, I just want to tell you that I appreciate you, flaws and all. Just keep grinding 100. Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, bud. Ammo Guns, you're saying Forbidden West is great, but there are definitely issues for me, especially the sheer amount of dialogue, and the story isn't as engaging as Zero Dawn. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be interested to see where the story ends because I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through. And it's definitely got me engaged. So I'm curious to see how it ends. I do like it so far, though. Timothy, you're saying you're supposed to follow the grace on the map. Got that one. I got yours. Caped Crusader, you're saying no cap. Elden Ring might just be the most overrated game in the past decade. Not saying it's bad, just overrated, kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. You know, I had an interesting thought the other day. And I want to present this to you here. And I forget what I was doing when I thought this. I think I was like sweeping my floor or some shit, like just some random ass shit I was doing around the house. I just had this thought. And I was like, is Elden Ring overrated? And if I were to say yes, doesn't that automatically mean that a lot of other games are also overrated? And then I started to think to myself, well, what about all the people who say that games like God of War or The Last of Us, they're overrated too? And it made me realize that, you know what? Maybe that's the problem with all of this. Maybe that is the problem with all of this in this entire conversation, is that it always has to be one or the other. It can never just be in the middle. And I started like thinking real deeply about this, probably deeper than I should have, but I just started to think that it's like, maybe no game should be a 97. And maybe no game should be like a 30, right? Maybe all games should just be judged in the middle without numbers and just based on their own merit with what they offer, what they do well, what they don't do well, what they have and what they lack. And that's it. And that's all it should be. And I just hate this. Like it in that moment, like it made me realize like I fucking hate numbers. I hate that numbers are used to dictate. But you know what? It's not even just numbers, because I saw people fucking arguing on Twitter about whether or not if you use magic in fucking Elden Ring, you're a bad player or you're a good player. And people are literally having full-blown discourse arguments over this. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what are you people doing? Like, you people have too much time on your hands. Just stop. What? You know, like, how is that something people are going to argue over? Rip. I see people saying that Mimic Tier got nerfed. And I'm like, man, I just unlocked that. I was excited to use it. I just feel like people need to calm down, man. And just understand that, you know, games can be good, they can be great, and they can still have flaws. You know, it's okay. Like, I think it's okay if somebody were to say, I think The Last of Us was kind of overrated. Like, I think that's fine. Like, The Last of Us doesn't have to be an amazing game to you. If you played The Last of Us and you're like, it was good, but you know, I don't get why everybody's gushing over it so much. Dude, I have those feelings. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You ready? I saw the newest Batman movie, and I walked out of that theater just genuinely thinking to myself, I don't get it. I didn't get it. Like, I didn't understand why people were going nuts over this movie. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was good. But I genuinely was like baffled, because I was like, based off of what the internet told me, that this was like next level shit here. The reviews, 10 out of 10s, Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then I watched it and I'm like, you know, it was kind of long. You know, there was a lot of dialogue. There were some scenes that I genuinely thought were kind of funny, and I'm pretty sure they weren't supposed to be funny. And it doesn't mean I thought it was bad, but I'm just like, I didn't feel it. I didn't get it. And it's sad, because it was actually the conversation around the movie that I think ruined my own experience, because I was judging it based off of something that wouldn't have been there if I just didn't listen to what everybody else was saying. You're saying confirmed MVG hates dialogue. I don't know, man. Maybe I do a little bit. maybe I do have trouble with too much dialogue and anything. But at the same time, I feel like if that's true, how the hell have I loved Metal Gear Solid? I don't know. But I just think that that's a good example because it just makes me wonder to myself, what would I have thought? What would my thoughts on the new Batman movie, what would they have been if I didn't listen, if I didn't have anything infiltrating my mind on what I thought this movie should be or what I should expect from it? What would my thoughts on it be? Now, it's not to say that, things have lived up to my expectations before, for sure. But another good example of this is the Uncharted movie. Like, I went into the Uncharted movie thinking this is going to be literal trash and I'm going to hate this. And I had that feeling because that was kind of like what me and everybody else, based off of what we saw, were like, this doesn't look like it's going to be good. They're going to fuck it up. Like, everything says they should fuck this up pretty badly. And I was actually kind of surprised where I'm like, no, I'm not saying that I prefer the Uncharted movie over Batman. I'm not saying that. If I had to choose which one to see again, it would definitely be Batman. But I'm just saying that I went into Uncharted with such low expectation that it was almost like, even if it's just okay, you're going to perceive that as being pretty good because you expected a dumpster fire. And I feel like when I went into Batman, it was the other way around. I expected to be completely mind blown by what I'm about to watch, just to find that what I watched was not mind blowing to me. It was good, but it wasn't all that. And it just made me realize that, man, this stuff is I thought the Riddler's role was good too. Did you guys see the deleted scene with the Joker? Did you see that? What did you guys think of the Joker that they got? I don't know how I feel about it. Definitely creepy. Seems like he fits in the world, but no. It's not spoilers. Because they just advertised it everywhere. They released a 5-minute clip that they cut out. I'm not spoiling it. That's not spoilers, guys. It's literally everywhere. It's not in the movie. I'm saying, they put it out. The director tweeted it saying, we cut this out of the movie if you want to watch it. I'm not going to tell you what happens in the scene. I'm just saying that it's, that's what I don't know. Is a deleted scene a spoiler? If so, I apologize, but surely you guys saw this, not the clip, but you saw that everybody was talking about the fact that, hey, they released a clip of the Joker. Also, I just want to make it clear, because maybe some people are confused. I'm not saying that the Joker that they showed was the same Joker. It wasn't Joaquin Phoenix. All right? Because I feel like some people are thinking that I spoiled that or something. No, that should be known. Well, anyway, all right, let me see. I got a couple more super chats here. Capono 5150, you're saying you can talk to yourself as long as you don't answer yourself. Yeah, there you go. You're saying, oh, you just reminded me. You know what movie I just saw the other night? Dr. Sleep. Saw that movie, the follow-up to The Shining. Didn't realize I was a couple years late to it, but I just watched that. Pretty good. It was pretty good. I was surprised. I was really nervous about that, but I'm like, you know what? That turned out better than I thought. Talking about talking to yourself and answering yourself. You're saying I played all the Souls, but it's impossible to figure out all these things on your own. Yeah, I think so too. Kenny, you're saying thanks for the spoiler, MVG. Dude, whatever, man. I'm not even going to act like I care because you're going to tell me you didn't know that. Bullshit. Get out of here. There's no way. It's a deleted scene anyway, so you would, even if you went to go see the movie, you still wouldn't, you wouldn't know about it. Which version of Doctor Sleep did you see? There's a director's cut that is 3 hours long. Oh shit, is there? I only saw the regular theatrical version, 2.5 hours. Damn, I kind of wish I would have known that. We need an MBG movie review channel. I would if I thought I watched enough movies, but Nakamichi, member for 3 months, Players No Limits Plus. Thank you. You're saying Elden Ring is one of my favorite games of this year, but it does have a lot of issues. One of them is hit detection. I've always dubbed FromSoft's games and added with an added subtitle like Elden Ring. What is a hitbox? Yeah, it definitely has some issues, but I don't know. I'm enjoying my time with it. I am. I grinded the hell out of that game. Like I'm like level 155 because I found like a really good spot to grind, and I just grinded for hours, just getting runes and being like, you know what? I'm not gonna let these guys. You're saying no point in watching the new Batman now, guys. Just watch today's MBG stream. Dude, whatever, man. I don't know why people. If anybody is taking that as a spoiler, I wouldn't, because it's not in the fucking movie. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Whatever. You guys are just trolling me at this point. Magnum Visuals, you're saying Elden Ring gained a lot of traction because they made it more accessible with it, which exposed the formula that others have been loving for years. I agree. Yeah, I was shocked at how well it sold. I was shocked. We heard it all. It's ruined. No, I know, Matt York. I know. All right. So let's go check the topic list here. Okay. I got something I want to talk about, and I may get a little ranty with this one. I don't know. I don't want to get too ranty, but I definitely have some stuff to say. So let's talk about Sony announcing that they've acquired Haven Studios. Now, this is going to be a two-pronged conversation, because part of the conversation is going to focus on the acquisition side of things and what Sony has been doing, and the conversation around that, what we can expect from them next, what it means that they acquired Haven Studios so quickly. But the other part of this is Sony seemingly diving headfirst into the service-based games. And actually, just for good measure, we're gonna throw in Rockstar Games and their bullshit announcement as well. And we're gonna talk about all three of these things in one topic, because they all kind of relate to one another. All right, so first of all, I'm sure most of you know, Sony announced that they have acquired Haven Studio, and people are not very excited about this. I see you, Clever Colt. You're trying to trigger me, saying not organic. All right, I want to make one thing clear right now. We need to establish a context. We need to establish a context of what we mean by organic. I don't know what some people consider organic. Like, for example, people who are like making a joke about how this is not an organic acquisition. And I guess maybe it's just funny because we just keep using the word organic. When it comes to the way Sony has acquired the studio, there's only one other thing that they could have done. And it's as organic as it gets, man. It really is. Because I think what people fail to understand with Jade Raymond's studio, Haven, is that Sony funded the studio. Sony struck a partnership with them, and obviously that partnership was going to mean, hey, we need to give you some money so you can do your thing, and we're going to pay you this money to make this game exclusive, and then you're going to use that money to help make the game. So they funded them as soon as they were established. And Sony was already on top of them. For all you know, Sony may have wanted to buy them from the get-go, but maybe at first they're like, no, that's okay. And the reason why people might ask, well, why? Well, because maybe they wanted to see if they could get a higher price later on, you know? Give them some time to build their game, hire more talent, and then you can sell for a higher price. So I just want to establish this first and foremost. This is Sony proving and showing that they are still trying to grow studios and as organically as they can. All right. And I think that if you go listen to what Herman Hulst had to say about their approach with this, I think it makes that clear. But something else I do want to mention here when it comes to Haven Studio is I think that it's a little, I don't know what to anticipate with their game. I have like mixed feelings and a bit of conflict because when we think about the official information we've heard, apparently this game, like I'm a little bit nervous about it. I'm going to be honest. I'm nervous about what Haven Studios is making only because they made it clear that this is some type of game where people are going to be making their own stuff. People are going to be creating their own things. And I just, you know, I automatically like, you know, I feel like I'm in the yellow automatically with this. Like I'm concerned. I'm immediately concerned about this notion that, okay, so this is this is a studio that is now being acquired by Sony. Sony is liking what they're seeing. They have a lot of talent, but I don't know. Like it makes me think of Dreams. And I'm going to be honest right now, guys. This is no offense to Dreams. I think Dreams is cool. And I think that it's a great game for Sony to have in their catalog. But I just don't know that Dreams is the type of game that most, and I have to emphasize the word most, PlayStation players want to play. I genuinely feel that way. Again, it's nothing against the game. It's just, I don't think it's doing that well. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but it just makes me wonder, like, are we about to see like a AAA version of Dreams? And what would that mean? What would that look like? I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't want to be like too pessimistic, but I am nervous about Haven Studio and what they're going to be bringing to the table. I'm nervous because we haven't seen anything, and the way they're talking about their game, it's beginning to sound like it's not going to appeal to me personally. And Sony has made another move, making it clear that, oh, well, why did you buy them? Oh, because we're pursuing live service games. Now, the way Herman Hulst phrased it is he said, we're still going to continue making single-player games like Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon, and I'm really glad he said that. But he also said that live service is exciting for them. And I don't know, man. The more Sony goes into this direction, the more nervous I get. I think my connection just dropped. I think my connection just dropped for a second there. But yeah, the more Sony goes into this direction, the more nervous I get. Because I don't know, man. There are aspects of the idea, like there are aspects of live service games that I do like, and then there are aspects that I absolutely fucking despise. And I just get really nervous. Like when we look at what is going on with GT7, I mean, it's like, Jesus, Sony, please get it fucking together. Because if I start to see more of this shit, like it just, I get you want money. Like I want to make it clear, like Sony, I'm talking to Sony right now. I get it. You're a business, you're a corporation, and you want money. And you want a lot of money. You want to get as much money as you can. But please, please just do not let that to allow your vision for what these service games could be. Do not let that be the thing that really drives it, because I just feel like, man, what just happened with GT7? I know, I see you're saying you really think GT7 stuff was overblown. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Maybe to a small extent it was, but in general, it was just pretty clear. Like, they couldn't have made it more clear that we want your money, more of it. Please, thank you. Please give us more money. And people were just like, no, like, can you just make your game? Can you just play it, make it better, make it more fair? And yes, they did fix it, but okay, I got a couple super chats here. iSalar18, you're saying most of Sony studios have been with them for a very long time. Starfield is in development for how long without Microsoft, and releasing this year? That's not organic. Well, this is what I mean, dude. Like, I don't know what the fuck these guys expect to hear. Like, these guys are coming out here and they're trying to make fun of PlayStation and PlayStation fans because we talk about organic growth. And you're exactly right, iSider. Like, what are you guys celebrating? You're fucking celebrating the release of a game that Microsoft didn't make. They just paid to own it and make sure it doesn't release on the competing platform. That's the literal fucking opposite of organic. They just bought Activision. Like, these guys sound like fucking morons. And I don't know if they know that, but they do. Like, you think the most organic thing that Microsoft has done that I've given them a ton of credit for is what they're doing with the initiative. And you know what that turned into? That turned into, the initiative is actually just a shell studio. It's actually just Crystal Dynamics. So it's like, don't fucking come over here and talk to us about what organic growth is, because they clearly don't fucking know what it is. And if they did, they would realize they sound like morons. We need a swear jar for you today, MBG. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I can't help it. I used to not swear at all. So I don't know what happened. I think it's because, like, I swear a lot. I try not to, but I think I stopped trying, is what I'm trying to tell you. I think I stopped trying to stop. So anyway, I will try to not swear as frequently. I like to use my sentence enhancers. Sometimes I feel like I have to swear to really emphasize my point, but I'll try to not do it so much. A live swear jar. Dude, pretty much all these super chats would just go right into it. Saying you're a grown ass man, say what you want. No, I know. It's just I don't want it to just be one of those things where it's like, if I keep going, I'm just going to start dropping F-bombs literally every other word. And I don't want to be like that, because that's just annoying and unnecessary. But yeah, I agree with you, iSiler. Timothy, you're saying, hope it's not an NFT marketplace. Oh, God. I didn't even think of that. No. Dude, listen. I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to say it now, and I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm trying to be real. Like, I'm trying to be realistic. The chances that Sony will not eventually get involved with NFTs are very low. Pretty much every corporation is at some point in time going to get involved with NFTs. And I don't know. Like, I just feel like NFTs are going to become probably the new microtransactions, where it's just going to be one of these things where they're going to be incorporated more and more and more, and eventually they will just be normalized, and it will just have to turn into a situation where it's like, just like I say now with microtransactions, try not to support them, because I don't think that they're necessary and they shouldn't be rewarded, but yeah, I think that that's what NFTs will turn into. I hope not. I hope not, man. KD, you're saying, what's up, MBG? Joining the stream late today. Have you seen Greg Miller's recent tweet today about 3 big rumored announcements for PlayStation this week? So they're delaying their podcast. Really interesting stuff. See, this is why I love to do my podcasts on Sunday, because you know that every time you're tuning into this podcast, you're not going to be tuning in at a time or you're not going to catch it like after Sony already makes the announcement. I would have caught it because it happened earlier in the week. And I did see that tweet, man. And we talked about it quite a bit today. And I'm excited, man. Like, I am excited because Sony, I don't know. Like, I've just been feeling for quite some time that they have some stuff that they are holding back, man. Like, I think that they have some exciting stuff that they are holding back. And they've just been waiting for the right moment to unleash it. And I'm not saying that that's what these 3 announcements are going to be, but I mean, if it's true that there's going to be 3 announcements, surely one of those 3 will be pretty good, right? Right? I mean, come on. What are the chances they're going to strike out 3 times? I don't think so. It's really difficult to speculate exactly what those announcements could be. I want to speculate. Like, I want to say, oh, obviously one of those announcements is Kojima's Silent Hill game, or one of those announcements is of a showcase. It's PSVR 2. I don't know. A massive acquisition. I do not know. Aaron, yeah, so I'm going to get to that in just a second. Bend over, you're saying, what's with all the negativity? Let them create. No, I don't mean to be overly negative. That's the thing, is like, I did say in my tweet about it that I am, and I said in my video, I can't use the word excited is all I mean to say, bend over. I just realized bend over. I don't know why I just got that. Ben. But yeah, good one. Good one. But I can't use the word excited because it would be disingenuous. I'm not particularly excited about what I'm hearing about their game. But that doesn't mean I'm going to assume it's going to be bad. So the word I like to use is I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated. I want to know. I want to know what they're going to be bringing to the table. And I just hope, I have a hope that it's going to be exciting to me and that I'm going to like it. And I have a slight fear that when Haven reveals their game, you know, the big fear for me is I don't want to like turn around and be like, oh, that does not look appealing to me at all. Because there's nothing, you guys know that. There's nothing worse than when you're excited for something you don't know about and something potentially brand new, and then they show it and you're like, oh, well, that doesn't appeal to me at all. I hope it's not that. So I'm not trying to make it sound too negative, but I just have to be honest with it. Thank you, ThatX. I appreciate that. Maxwell, you're saying, I like when MBG cuss, hashtag angry MBG for president. Rashtam B2, you're saying Sony does the same thing with third-party deals. Come on, MBG. And I get that. And that's the thing, is like, I'm not trying to say that Sony is completely innocent, because they're not. Yes, Sony doing third-party deals can be viewed as egregious, but it's just more about people knowing what they're talking about. Like in the case of Haven Studio, I actually saw people trying to argue with me. We were like, how the hell is this organic? Like, what do you mean? What do you not? I'm just convinced that some people don't actually know what organic means in this context. Organic just means that Sony is taking something before it has grown into what it could be and facilitating that growth. That's what organic means. Not buying something that has already grown to what it is on its own and then owning that thing. That's what we mean by organic. And I think some people just don't understand that. And when you look at Haven, that's exactly what it is. But I do get what you're saying, Rashdam. Magnum Visuals, you're saying, I don't think we'll see the game ill because both Sony and Microsoft have rejected a Martha is Dead gore. I've seen a couple people mention that game, and I don't know anything about it. Ill, I mean, I don't know. I think it's like an indie game. I feel like I've come across a clip of it. And the only thing I remember thinking about the clip that I saw of that game ill is why is the what's the it's the setting, like it's first person but it's super zoomed in. What's that setting called? An FOV slider, I think. Why is it so zoomed in? Like I can't, like there's no peripheral vision whatsoever. And I didn't like that. But I don't know, maybe it's just for cinematic effect. But somebody mentioned to me in the chat, there is another rumor. We'll just do this live. I don't think I'm going to cover this in the video because this is it has to be 100% fake. On the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, a user posted a state of play leak. How ironic. Who would have thought? As soon as we get that tweet from Greg Miller, who would have thought that somebody would then be like, I'm going to leak the state of play now? Surely you didn't just make this up. But just for shits and giggles, let's just see what they're saying here, okay? So it says here, state of play. I'm not going to disclose how I've come upon this. Of course you won't. But I thought I'd share it in this sub. Thursday, 50-minute long state of play will be announced on Tuesday officially. So let's just establish one thing right off the get-go. A state of play will never be 50 minutes long. So already you're screwing up. It's not going to be, if it's 50 minutes long, it's not called state of play. It's called a showcase. All right. So right off the bat, not looking good. Not looking good. And it is worth noting that if Sony were to ever do a 50-minute state of play, it would be the first time they ever did anything like that. Okay? So he goes on to say, PlayStation Plus Premium will be the opening reveal going live the same day, followed by game announcements. I only know 2 of the games. That's The Last of Us Part 2 Director's Cut, which will include factions, ? Following that, I mean, it's not really a leak if you're putting question marks, bro. Like, what the fuck? Following that, there is a Last of Us remake. Don't ask what the other games will be revealed because I don't know. Okay. As far as the rest of the stuff, there will be price reveal for PSVR 2, but no release date. Yeah, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Buy PS5 Pro controller. No info on this at all. It's getting up to 5 minutes of the show. Okay. Wow. I mean, that's pretty weak, man. Like, come on. You that's the best you can do. If you're going to make a fake leak, that's the best you could do. I should make a fake leak. Because I could come up with something way more convincing than that. Yeah, a PS5. I mean, you know what would be funny is if it was true, but it's not. I don't think it is. I mean, the thing that people want to know is if you know Sony is going to have a showcase. I just want to let you guys. I'll give you my thoughts on this because I have seen quite a few of you asking me. You know, you're like, oh, look at Roberto Serrano's tweet and look at what Greg Miller's saying. So I'm going to give you like my real thoughts on a showcase. Well, I want to establish first and foremost. Listen. I see you, Aaron. Yeah. I want to establish first and foremost that would I want Sony to do a showcase? Do I hope that Sony is doing a showcase as soon as tomorrow or next week? Absolutely. Yes. And I'm not going to hide that. I'm not going to pretend that I wouldn't be super excited for Sony to do a showcase. I don't care when Sony wants to do the showcase. I'll be hyped for it. But putting my own personal desires aside, when has Sony ever done a showcase at this point in time? You know what I mean? Like, when have they ever done a showcase like, oh, look, it's the end of March, time to do our showcase. Oh, look, it's the beginning of April, time to do our showcase. They have never done that. So what I will say is that if we were to get some big announcements next week, here's what I could see happening. Okay? And I think that these are like, if it's true that we're going to get 3 back-to-back announcements over the course of a week, here's how I see them going down. And I think that these are the most realistic. Announcement number 1 is of Project Spartacus. All right. And maybe that could happen on Monday. Announcement number 2 maybe could, come on Wednesday or Thursday, and it could be the announcement of another acquisition. And then the third announcement could be at the end of the week where Sony announces that they're doing, but again, see, this doesn't make sense either because they wouldn't announce it this way, another state of play for God of War. I mean, I guess they could announce that later in the week. Didn't they technically do that for Hogwarts? I'm losing track of everything, but I'm just saying that like the hype, people are beginning to build up the hype a little bit, and I want to like be part of that, but it's just I don't have any sources. I kind of wish I did, but maybe not, because again, I don't want it to get ruined. But I'm just going to assume that next week something significant is happening. I don't know, and I'm not necessarily anticipating a showcase, but everything is pointing towards Sony doing something significant next week. Whatever that may be, we'll see, By the way, guys, we still have over 950 people here hanging out with me. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button for me. We are just about at 600 likes. Let's see if we can get to 700. I would really, really appreciate that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously going to be on the lookout. I'm going to be seeing if anybody else is saying anything. I just, I don't want to get anybody's expectations too high. I don't want to sit here and say that next week's the week, guys. Some big shit's going down. I would love to be able to say that, but I don't feel very confident in saying that, because I just, at this moment in time, I feel like next week we could just get the announcement of Spartacus and that's it. And that could be a big one, but it might not be. So we'll see. If we don't get a big announcement tomorrow, I'll probably make a dedicated video on this though, letting people know like, hey, there's some conversation going on right now that apparently Sony's getting ready to do some stuff. So let's see. But getting back to the main topic of conversation, talking about Haven Studio, talking about acquisitions, but now I want to shift and talk a little bit about Sony's, diving in headfirst to the service land. So let's talk about Rockstar Games. So I put out a pretty simple tweet this past week. And all I said, okay, this was after Rockstar Games, they came out and they announced, hey, you guys like GTA Online, right? And you like paying money. You like giving us your money. So we got something else. Here's another way you can give us more of your money. Here's GTA Plus. What a creative name. They definitely didn't take that from PlayStation Plus. But I posted a tweet where I simply said, what the fuck happened to Rockstar Games? And that tweet blew up a little bit. Like it almost got like 10K likes and the engagement was insane. And I didn't expect that. And I'm only saying this because it's clear that a lot of people feel the same way. But there was a ton of discourse underneath that tweet. There was, I started a war between Rockstar supporters currently in 2022 and Rockstar, I don't want to say haters, but people who are just not fans anymore, And there's a lot of different arguments being made. So let me give you some context. For those who don't know, Rockstar Games announced that for GTA Online, for the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, you can now subscribe to a service called GTA Plus. And GTA Plus is $6 a month, and it basically gives you 500,000 GTA dollars a month. And they give you like a bunch of small benefits and like little things and whatever, trinkets and whatnot. And there was a lot of outrage for this because people are like, look, Rockstar, what are you guys doing? Like, GTA came out. When exactly did it come out? I want the exact date. 2013. So it's been almost a decade, man. It's been nearly a decade. And people defend them because they're like, well, what about Red Dead Redemption 2? What about it, man? Like, what about it? I need to know. Why does that give you so much faith? Let me check here. RDR2, when exactly did RDR2 come out? I know it got delayed a bunch of times. October 26, 2018. So that's what? It's been quite a few years at this point. I just don't understand where the goodwill is coming from. I'm not saying, like, see, I think people get defensive. I think people get defensive because they're like, so you're saying Rockstar Games can't make a good game? No, I'm actually saying the opposite of that. I'm saying Rockstar Games is so talented. I don't know how much of that talent is still there, but they're so talented and they've made some of the best games that they should not be doing this. This should not be what they're reduced to. And it's a fucking shame because it's like GTA Online can still exist, but why does it have to be the priority? We know why. Chris Gaming Show, you're saying, do Sony always have big announcements in September? Not always. I don't know. I feel like the past couple of years they have. Like the past 2 years, yeah, they've done something in September. iSolid18, you're saying, no joke, the GTA thing is hilarious. If you build it, they will come. I don't blame them. The monetization model simply works for them. Just look at that revenue. Well, that's what I mean, dude. I don't know. Yeah, see, that's the thing is like some people are saying, dude, it's not Rockstar's fault. It's the market's fault. And this is why I feel like we're fighting a losing battle here, people. I hate to say it, but I feel like people like us, gamers like us, those who love the single player, quality narrative experience. I mean, this is why I cheer so aggressively for a lot of the single player games that Sony does, for Elden Ring. Because, I mean, look at Elden Ring. No microtransactions, no, season pass, no this, no nothing. Just a game. Just a game where they could have cut out like 7 sections of that game and sold it to you as DLC, but they didn't. They put that in the game. Day one. And I just... I look at what's going on here and I'm like, let me get this straight. GTA Online is now a live service game. Okay. We're going on almost a decade. We haven't seen a thing about GTA 6. We haven't seen a thing outside of Red Dead Redemption 2. And here's the thing about Red Dead Redemption 2. That game was in development for a long time. Like, that game was probably in early development when GTA 5 launched. So it wasn't going to be canceled. But did you see what Take-Two Interactive and Rockstar Games tried to do with Red Dead 2? All they cared about was, can we make Red Dead Online as successful as GTA Online? And they got money signs in their eyes. And they wanted to. Oh, they wanted to. And when they found out, that's a shame. It's not going to be as successful as GTA Online. Well, screw it. We'll just abandon it. We're gonna go support GTA Online now. I mean, I've literally seen Red Dead players begging Rockstar to do something more with the game. I mean, do you guys remember Undead Nightmare? Undead Nightmare? Why? Like, remember when GTA 5 was supposed to get single player DLC? And it got canceled in favor of, hey, dude, GTA Online's so successful, screw that. We're canceling that. And I mean, I know that like they're kind of incorporating like story-based stuff into the online, but like I just hate this. Like I gotta be honest, I hate this to an extent because it's getting so far away. It's not like this is what Rockstar always was. It's not like this is what Grand Theft Auto always was. It's the other way around. This is what it always wasn't. This is what it transformed and turned into. And what it frankly, I'm not saying GTA Online shouldn't exist and it shouldn't be supported, but look at where we are right now, guys. Like they're fucking putting a subscription service in their live service game. And you know what they give us? They give us crumbs. They give us a fucking tweet. Hey guys, we're working on GTA 6. Wow. Oh my God. 9 years later? Thank you. I'm sorry, man. Like I cannot support it. I fucking refuse to support Rockstar. I refuse to come out here and defend them. I refuse to use their past as a defense because it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to turn this into something it isn't, but make no mistake that this is the future we are looking at, people. And this is why I look at Sony and I'm like, Sony, I'm excited to play some of your multiplayer games, man. I'm excited if you bring out SOCOM. I'm interested to see what you do with Twisted Metal. Want to bring back MotorStorm? Haven Studio. But I am scared, man, that this is what they're looking to achieve. It's what they're looking to achieve. It's what Microsoft wants to achieve. It's what every video game publisher wants to achieve, and it sucks. It sucks, man. You see, actually, let me get these super chats. Chris Gaming Show, you're saying, like I said, when Dan Houser left, things changed. I love how people just like, that's the thing is people who defend Rockstar are like, Dan Houser left? Who's he? Like, what do you mean, who's he? What? Are you kidding me? Leslie Benzies left? Who's he? What? Laszlo left? Who's he? These people who say they prove that they don't know shit about GTA. They don't know shit about Rockstar. They don't know that this is the lifeblood, man. You're talking about the people who made these games what they are, who made this studio what it is. And people just want to believe that, oh, they're just leaving. They're just leaving because they're just done. They're retired. It could be, but I don't think so. I don't think so, man. So he says, stop complaining. I mean, look, man, I got to air my grievances. I do. Because things are not well. they're not as well as they could be. Maybe they are. I mean, there's equilibrium here. I will say that. There is an equilibrium. Because at the same time that fucking Rockstar Games wants to be like, hey guys, don't you want to pay a subscription service in our live service game? We have FromSoft being the chads they are, being like, here's a $60 single player video game with so much content, you're not even going to know what to do with yourself. So we have equilibrium here. And also Sony bringing out Horizon, you know? Timothy, you're saying a lot of people blame Rockstar, but you should blame Take-Two. I blame Take-Two as well, man. I mean, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Konami. And when Konami, I talk about the Metal Gear Solid games and how they're some of my favorite games of all time, but something I also liked about the Metal Gear Solid games, I remember Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, they first introduced Metal Gear Online. And it was awesome. I was like, dude, this is great. Like, I loved Metal Gear Solid 3. It was one of my favorite games of all time. And I'm like, now they have a multiplayer component. It was so good. It was so good. And you know why it was good? It was simple. That was back during the good old days of the PS2. No microtransactions, just a solid online component that you got. I mean, you had to buy another version of the game, so it's not like they weren't making any money. You had to, and that's what they did. They came out with subsistence. I'm like, okay, fine, but it was so good, man. Yeah, they fixed the camera and everything, and eventually those servers got shut down. Okay. And then with Metal Gear Solid 4, they introduced Metal Gear Online version 2. And this was even better. But they had to fucking ruin it. You know why they ruined it? Well, there's a multitude of reasons. One of the reasons was because Konami was like, PlayStation Network integration? No thanks. They wanted to have their own setup. You had to go on the web browsers, the whole thing. It was a nightmare. And they wanted to monetize the hell out of the game. They made it so that if you wanted to have more than one character slot, keep in mind, this game launched with Metal Gear Solid 4. If you wanted to have another character slot, you had to pay like $10. You had to pay $10. Now, what was crazy is that they didn't realize at the time that, like, I remember playing Metal Gear Online 2, they had like tournaments and stuff that you could compete in, and they had a whole shop. They had a whole shop where you could unlock cosmetics and whatnot. And they weren't, as far as I remember, you could just unlock them by playing the game. And they had normal DLC packs for the game. And it was like, okay, you could kind of tell like Konami's like getting a little bit greedy here. They want you to buy character slots. That sucks. But at least the cosmetics are free to unlock in game. At least, at least they're doing regular DLC packs where you can just buy the content and get the content, right? But then I remember with, they introduced Metal Gear Online 3 and it just got worse. They started to make it so you have to buy the cosmetics, I think, if I remember correctly. They still charge you for character slots. And dude, I remember Konami reached a fucking fever pitch with their greed when they had the audacity to release Metal Gear Survive. Not only did they have the balls to actually release that dumpster fire, but they outdid themselves. They were like, now we're going to charge you for character slots in this game, which can be played, like, it was a co-op game, but you could play it single player, and they're just like, they just didn't care, man. And I just look at this shit and I'm like, I get that these companies got to make money, man. I get that these companies got to make money and it's their job to make more money, but I just don't know that this is the way forward. This is why I just can't get behind foregoing the traditional model. You know, like, what is wrong with the traditional model of just offering a full product at a price? I mean, I feel like the only time microtransactions are kind of okay, in my opinion, is if your game's free to play. And as long as they're not pay to win microtransactions, then fine. If that's how you want to make your money for development, of course, you got to make money. But when I see shit like what I'm seeing with GT7, where I have to read an entire blog post of Polyphony Digital coming out and saying, saying, hey, like, we're really sorry for essentially being greedy, and we're gonna change that. And it's just like, you're gonna tell me that the sales you were gonna make for full price games for 60, 70, I mean, how many people are paying $70 a pop for GT7 on PS5? How many people are paying $60 a pop for GT7 on PS4? How many million? Like, GT is the best selling PlayStation franchise. You're going to tell me that just keeping the microtransactions the way they were wasn't enough? That's why I get pissed, because it's absolute greed, man. They're not like, it's one thing it's foolish to expect a corporation to not be greedy. I'm not saying that Rockstar, Take-Two Interactive, Microsoft, Sony, I'm not saying Well, they shouldn't be greedy. It's literally that's why they exist. They exist to be greedy. They exist to rake in money. That's what they do. I don't expect them not to be greedy, but at the very fucking least, I expect them to at least try to hide it. Not in an egregious way, but at least try to control it and hide it and not make it so obvious that you just want to squeeze every last fucking dime out of your customer base. I can't stand that shit, man. You know? And this is where I'm going to be like, you know what, Sony? You want to come over here and you want to fucking talk to me about your service games, 10 live service games, and you want to shove microtransactions down people's throats well, maybe not shove them down your throats, but you want to make it pretty clear that, hey, buy those GT7 microtransactions. Then you know what? Fuck your $10 upgrades. You know, like this is where I draw the line where it's like, Sony, I was okay paying your $10 upgrades because I was under the impression that, you know, that this was going to be going towards the you know, the development of more single player games. And people tell me like, no, this is why Sony has to do these live service games. I think I read a comment on my podcast last week where they're like, well, this is how it is, man. You know, they were basically saying like Sony is entering this game now with microtransactions with live services, but they're not doing it well. They're not realizing that they have to walk a fine line here, and they're not doing a very good job of it. And I agree, man. I'm not like I know that there's something to be said. Oh, hold on, let me see. Magnum Visuals are saying, would you get a sound machine with clapping sounds and horns for your channel? Maybe. It seems a bit over the top, but yeah, maybe it would fit well. It fit well with the show. I'll think about it. People say to me, they're like, well, maybe there's something to be said for the people who do enjoy these games. And it's not about people enjoying the games. I want to make that clear. Like, I am not saying that if you're somebody who loves GTA Online, that there's something wrong with you. Absolutely not. Dude, love what you love. Enjoy what you enjoy. But where my problem lies is when people are just so ready to just pay and pay more and pay more. And I know people were like, well, dude, it's your fault. Like people were blaming me because like, this is because you just accepted Sony's $70 games. It's like, come on. There's a difference between Sony coming out here and being like, well, we got the DualSense and we got the PS5 features and our games are really expensive and we got to keep making these single player games and we're not going to put microtransactions in them in these single player games, right? So we need to charge $10. It's like, okay, all right, fine. And then they start, okay, we're gonna start charging for upgrades now. It's like, okay, I guess, fine. And then they do this shit with GT7, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that Sony is pushing. And that's why I'm so pissed off. And I know that people are like, dude, you don't need to get so worked up. God of War Ragnarok. It's like, no. I don't want Sony to turn. I'm not looking to have the wool pulled over my eyes here. I want to call this shit out for what it is, because if we do not get ahead of it now, it will be too late. Saying online gamers exist too, bro. Dude, I'm one of them. I am one of them. But I just don't see why it's difficult for me to be sympathetic. No, not sympathetic. Empathetic and understanding of corporations that are profiting billions of dollars. And I need to make that clear. I'm not saying, and I do not want people to get this confused, I'm not saying that I think Sony should put their games day and date onto a service. I don't, because I understand how that could go very wrong. I understand that could hurt game development, not help it. That could end up ruining the current model that works for Sony. I understand that. But what drives me nuts is that it's not enough. It's never enough. And that's what we need to realize here, is it will never be enough. And I have always pushed back against what we call the casual gaming market, because the casual gaming market, that's the market that games on their smartphones. That's the market that doesn't actually give a single flying fuck about this industry or the art that goes, or the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. They don't give a shit. These are, I'm not trying to like group people here, but it's the reality, man. You talk about Phil Spencer, you talk about Jim Ryan, like, I want hundreds of millions of people. I want billions of people. And this drives me nuts because it's like, if we start to see GTA Online is the formula that was created by Rockstar for Grand Theft Auto reduced to the lowest common denominator. I started that shit up on my PlayStation 5, and I was just like, what is this? I was like, this, I don't know, man. I just couldn't really believe, like, this is what this has turned into. This is what this has turned into. And I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be... See, I was optimistic. If you go back to MBG, I'd say probably 6 to 8 weeks ago, when we were talking about Sony approaching live service games, I was like, I think this could be a good thing. I think this will help diversify Sony. And I still believe that. I still believe that. I still think ultimately it can be a good thing, but I am just not feeling good, man, about the direction that this shit is going in, because I don't trust Sony. I don't. And I'm gonna tell you why I don't trust them. I don't trust them the same reason I don't trust Microsoft, the same reason I don't trust Rockstar or Take-Two, the same reason I don't trust Konami, the same reason I don't trust EA. Because it's easy for Herman Hulst right now in 2022 to say, oh yeah, we'll always make single-player games. We'll always make God of War and Last of Us and Horizon. And I did notice that he only pointed out the big AAA games from Sony. He didn't say we'll always keep making new IP. Now, maybe I'm being a little too nitpicky, but this is what he said. And I'm like, okay, great. But man, it sure is easy to say that when you haven't found your gold mine yet, right? It sure is easy to say that when you are reliant on those single-player games to make the bulk of your money right now. What happens when you find your own GTA Online? What happens when you find your own Fortnite? What happens when you find your own Rainbow Six Siege or Apex Legends or whatever it is? What happens when you make more money from a single service game than 3 of your AAA single-player games? You want me to believe that you're not going to turn into Rockstar? That you're not going to turn into Take-Two Interactive? That you're not going to turn into EA? That you're going to continue to, you know what? This is our most successful thing. Like, here's a question I have for you guys. You know what? Not even a question. Here's an example. Let's take Haven Studio. Or Bungie. Maybe not Bungie. We'll just do Haven. Let's say Haven's new game is basically GTA 6, except you can create your own shit. I don't know. I'm just this is gonna be just relax. I know I'm relaxed. Don't worry. Just hang with me here with this example. Let's say Haven's next game is a mega fucking hit. It's a free-to-play game. It's a service game, and it just explodes. It just takes over the industry. Let's say it comes out in 2024 or 2025. And we start to discover that this game is making Sony like Fortnite levels of maybe it even goes multi-plat. Just a thought. Maybe, I know it sounds crazy, but it's going to be on PC. Let's just say it starts making Fortnite levels of revenue. I'm sorry, but I don't believe for a second that Sony is going. They're going to. That is their golden goose. They're going to put that before all else. There's a reason. I just need to tell you this, guys. I need to tell you this. There's a reason why Rockstar Games has not made a game since Red Dead Redemption 2. And the only reason Red Dead Redemption 2 came out was because it was already in development by the time GTA released. All right? There's a reason why we haven't seen a single thing from them except that garbage remaster, just another cash-in. There's a reason why. There's a reason why Ubisoft is saying the next Assassin's Creed, live service. The next Far Cry, live service. There's a reason why EA, they're some of their most beloved studios that made single-player games, they're like shells of their former selves. They barely even exist. There's a reason why Microsoft decided to make Halo Infinite free-to-play, and they hope that it would be a big success, like a massive success, like this is the next one. This is what every publisher's chasing, and I know that Sony's going to chase it, and I know that I can't stop them from chasing it, but I'm going to be real right now when I say I genuinely hope Sony does not find that level of success in the service with any of their service games. I hope they find a little bit of success and maybe even a moderate amount of success, but I pray that Sony does not find GTA Online levels of success, Fortnite levels of success, because if they do, PlayStation will change. Oh yes, they will change. And if you think that they won't, you are putting your eggs in the wrong basket. Because if there's one thing that I've learned about covering PlayStation as closely as I do the past couple years, is that we are not dealing with executives who were running and in charge of the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, or 4. I mean, yes, Jim Ryan has been here since the beginning, but Jim Ryan is a businessman first and foremost. Jim Ryan's job is to make the most amount of money for PlayStation as he possibly can. Jim Ryan doesn't care about whether or not that comes from single-player games, multiplayer games, or anything. It doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to be a Jim Ryan hater, but that's just the truth. That's his job. And I don't know. I know that I'm being like, I know people are being like, you're being super down and you're being negative, but I said something in my most recent video. I think it was my video from yesterday. I said that this probably won't be the last time we have a conversation like this in regards to Sony. And the reason why I said that is because this is Sony trying to turn GT7 into a live service, even though it kind of already was a live service, but them trying to extract more from it quicker, and they failed. And they have to turn things around. And I don't believe for a second that so GT7's out. We have 9 more live service games that Sony's going to release between now and 2026. That's like 2 live service games a year. Oh yeah, they're going to fuck up. Oh yes, they will fuck up. And when they do, I hope that the PlayStation community brings the fucking hammer down on them. Because they need it. They need to know that if they're going to slip and if they're going to fuck up, they're going to pay for it. Not us, them. So, that's all. A good example, The Last of Us Online. You guys know I'm super excited to see what Naughty Dog is going to do with The Last of Us Online. And I'm very much excited to see how this game's going to turn out. But if these motherfuckers come out here, and I'm sorry, I gotta be real right now. If they come out here and they're like $70 microtransactions, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be legitimately pissed off. If they come out here and they say free to play microtransactions, okay. Let's not pretend, because I did look into it. And holy hell, did Naughty Dog screw up with their their MTX in factions. They screwed up. They did not handle that well, and people did not like it. I'm going to be watching. Man. So if they do it right, I'll give them credit, and I'm hoping they do it right. I will give them credit. But a lot of people were telling me, MBG, you're being too lenient on Sony. They were telling me this in 2020. They were telling me this last year. They're like, MBG, you're being too lenient on Sony. They're being greedy. You got to push back against this. And I thought, no, it's not that big of a deal, guys. It's not going to turn into anything. And I'm going to be honest, this thing that happened with GT7 for me is like the straw that broke the camel's back, where it's like, okay, between that and the Horizon thing that they tried to pull, I can't, I'm now you got me, you got my attention, and I'm going to be paying, very close attention. Jacob, you're saying, I don't mean to be rude when I said that because I'm also angry. We are not the reason that GTA Plus is now in-game. People who buy everything in GTA are. Yeah, and see, that's the thing is like, the reason why I feel like this is a losing battle, no matter what, is because it doesn't matter what I say. And it pains me to say that, but it's the truth. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter how much we get together and say, this is messed up. There is a reason why GTA Online is as successful as it is. There is a reason. It's not just luck. It's because people eat that shit up, man. Those shark cards, those microtransactions, they don't care, man. They will just buy and buy and buy. And that's why we are seeing this GTA Plus service, because I could put out a poll right now, and that poll could get 100,000 votes where I say, are you going to subscribe to GTA Plus? And 95% of people could say no, and 5% of people could say yes, but it doesn't matter, because all the people who are actually subscribing to GTA Plus aren't seeing my poll, and they're certainly not voting on it. They are the casual gamer. The casual gamer does not care the way we do. And these corporations know that. That is why I cannot blame these. I saw people saying that I see all these channels talking shit about GT7. Look, I'm going to be real. You should be thankful for that, because they're like, people with like big channels and big sway and big audiences, they're the voice, man. Like, they're the only ones that Sony might listen to. When Sony's raking in the money, there has to be somebody there, something there, yelling at them with a megaphone. This isn't right. Fix this. Because all they're hearing is the sound of money being raked in from the casuals who don't give a shit. And that is the great fear, man. That is why I cannot agree with people who are like, hey, man, who cares about GT7? It's not that big of a deal. I will be honest. To me, I'm not playing GT7. It's not that big of a deal. And I know that people are like, well, you can't say shit if you're not playing it. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I don't need to play it to be able to understand the problems that people are conveying. I can read and I can use my brain and realize that, yeah, something there doesn't sound right. It would be like if I explained to you a problem in a game that I'm playing right now and you weren't playing the game. That doesn't mean there's no way you couldn't understand what I'm conveying to you. It's tough, man. I know that I'm it seems like I'm going on this rant about live service games on a damn near weekly basis, but I have to. I didn't want to talk about this, but when Sony buys Haven Studio, and when they're asked, oh, why'd you buy them? And Herman Hulse is like, live service. Okay. Cool, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. That's concerning. And then later on in the week, Rockstar Games. Subscribe to GTA Online Plus. Do you see why I gotta go on these rants? Do you see why I gotta say this? Because it's happening. It's happening. And there are going to be people. Dan in the chat says, stop hating on live service. It won't get rid of single player games. Dude, chill. I'm not saying, well, I want to make this clear. I don't think, no matter how successful live service games are, that doesn't mean single player will completely disappear. It won't. But it could get damn close to it, is what I'm trying to say. I don't want to live in a world where, like, let's flash forward to 2026. Sony has 10 live service games out. What if this means we only get one single player game a year from them? Or less than that? What if it's once every couple of years? Because here's the thing, guys. I want to tell you this. If a couple of Sony studios that are working on live service games right now, if they find success, and I mean if they really find success, what would stop Sony from turning to one of their single player studios and being like, we're fine, make your single player game, but we're gonna need you to also make a multiplayer game as well. And I don't know. I just don't look. I don't want to be disingenuous here. That's all. I don't want to be. I know I'm coming off as a bit of an extremist, so I want to end this topic on this note. All right, and I want to just try to make it as clear as I can. I like single player games. I like multiplayer games. In fact, I like them equally. I've had just as much fun playing some multiplayer games and some co-op games as I've had playing my single player narrative solo driven experiences. And the only thing that I hope for with Sony, it's simple. I just want to see a balance, a healthy balance. And I don't want Sony to make mistake after mistake after mistake with their endeavor into their multiplayer and live service games. Because the problem is, it's seemingly very easy for them to make these mistakes, just like it is for every other gaming publisher. It's very easy for them to prioritize greed than it is what they actually should be doing. And I don't want to see that. I do not understand. I do not understand how GT7 is in this predicament. How do you fuck this up? Because in my mind, there's only one way you fuck it up like this, and that is when greed is driving. When greed is in not the passenger seat, but the driver's seat. And I hope that Sony learns from this. And this is why I'm trying to tell every PlayStation fan that even if you don't care about GT7, you need to see this as a pretty significant victory, because what this means is that in the future, if Sony is messing up on something, or they're just not. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Somebody, I'm not going to name names, but somebody in the chat says, you don't play it, so quiet down. Fine, man. If that's what you want. If that's what you want. Because I will tell you this, that if people were not crying out about GT7, that blog post that we got from Kazunori Yamauchi of Polyphony Digital, that blog post wouldn't exist. Those fucking changes that the game is getting wouldn't exist. It would be exactly the way it was when it launched. And that is why I'm not going to quiet down. That is why I'm not just going to sit back and be like, Sony can just do whatever they want. Not my problem. I'm not playing. I don't care. I'm a PlayStation YouTube channel, So when I see a fair amount of people basically saying like, hey man, I know you're not playing the game, but we got there's something wrong here, something wrong there, not sure what Sony's doing here, I'm going to pay attention to it, And I figure, you know what? If I can say something, I'm a pretty small channel. Ain't no way Sony's listening to me. But if I can contribute to that broader conversation that has clearly reached Polyphony Digital and it reached Sony, and they had to do something. Like I said, you can be indifferent, but if you choose to be indifferent, you cannot complain about the end result if you choose to be indifferent. That's the best. That's the best way I could end it. If you choose to be indifferent to any of these things, you cannot complain about the end result. And that's where I'll end this conversation. iSolder18, you're saying, get ready, Twisted Metal will probably be a microtransactions gold mine. Well, I will say the rumor about Twisted Metal is that it's going to be free to play, and it's like, listen, free to play games can have a very healthy balance, and they can succeed and be good games with microtransactions, even a lot of them, but they have to be handled correctly. There has to be a balance, and that's what's important. And if Twisted Metal can come out as a free to play game, and they want to be like, you know what, we're going to make our money through microtransactions, do it right. Don't let greed lead the way. Make it fair for the player. Make it reasonable, and it will work. Because I would have no problem supporting a free-to-play game, buying a couple microtransactions if they're fair and they're done well, and they seem like they actually respect me as a player and don't just view me as a dollar sign. See, this could be a win-win here. But with that being said, I do have to move on to the next topic, which is, let me see here. Okay, so the next topic, I don't know how exciting this one's going to be, but it's certainly interesting. You're saying MBG, say that sentence again, please. I want to write it down. I've said a lot of sentences. You might have to come back and listen to it, man. I don't think I'm going to be... I forgot what I said even 2 minutes ago, or at least I couldn't repeat it word for word. By the way, guys, hit that like button. We are very close to 700 likes. So how many of you guys here are fans of the PlayStation Vita or were fans of the PlayStation Portable? Curious to see in the chat. How many of you are fans? While you answer me, gotta check something. Okay, seems like quite a few of you are fans of the Vita and PSP. So we did get a rumor that, look, some people were saying not to trust the source. The source is Red Gaming Tech. I'm going to be honest, I don't really follow Red Gaming Tech, so I cannot vouch for them. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, his information could be complete horseshit. I don't know. He just said that he has sources, but it's not so much about it necessarily whether it's true or not, but it's more about, would Sony actually do this? He claims that Sony has greenlit the development of another handheld. And I find this very believable, to the point where I don't really even, I wouldn't need a source to tell me that for me to believe it. I would just believe it if it's like, I think Sony is, if I thought to myself, I think Sony is making another handheld. Yeah, I do, because why wouldn't they at this point? You know, you look at the success of the Nintendo Switch. Now, maybe Sony doesn't look at that the same way because it's like, well, it's a hybrid console. But now we see the Steam Deck. And what's so weird to me is we are seeing PlayStation executives like Shuhei Yoshida. Okay, Shuhei Yoshida's out here basically playing some Sony games or playing games in general on the Steam Deck. And you can play some Sony games on the Steam Deck. You know, and I just feel like Sony, considering the success they found with the PSP, and I know the Vita wasn't that successful, but how could they not try again, right? Like, it's right there. It's like, there are people who want this, a lot of people. But I think when we talk about a handheld from Sony, we really have to whittle it down to what it needs to be, what it has to be. And if it's not what it needs to be, then I don't think it would succeed. Now, some people talk about a follow-up to the Vita, like a PlayStation Vita 2, or just Sony treating their next handheld like the Vita. I think that would be the worst possible thing Sony could do. I say this only because if Sony were to come out with a new dedicated handheld, it would obviously be less powerful than the traditional console. All right. It would be significantly less powerful. It would need its own support. And that, to me, is obviously what killed the Vita. Developers could not make a game for the PS4 and also for the Vita. And it just didn't work out that way. Sony needs to create a piece of hardware that does one of two things, okay? Sony can go the cloud streaming route, which I think this would be fine if Sony did this because it wouldn't hurt anybody. Like, it would just be one of those things where it's like, if you want to try to have gaming on the go, here you go. You can buy like this dedicated, maybe it's like a DualSense with a screen in the middle, and it takes advantage of the cloud. I don't know how well that would work. I feel like that would not work very well at all, but it could be a potential angle that Sony could take with it. And you're saying go ahead and burp, MBG. No, I got to hold it in, man. It's rude. But I feel like the other angle is what I talked about in my video, where it's like, if Sony is in the early stages of developing this handheld, it means it could get canceled, but let's say it doesn't get canceled. Let's say they're shooting to release it by 2024 or 2025. I mean, could we see Sony release a handheld console that is, I don't think it could be as nowhere near as powerful as a PS5, but something like, I kind of likened this notion to maybe PlayStation's version of the Xbox Series S, except instead of it being a home console, it's a hand. Because we're already seeing developers, when they make their games for the Series X, they also have to make sure that these games can run on the Series S. And I'm going to be real with you, Series S seems like a piece of fucking shit. Like, I'm not even sound, MBG. What's going on? Oh, it closed again. There we go. I'm not even trying to be a dick, but it just seems to me like every time I see a game tested on the Series S, it's just not good. Like, it's just not very good at all. And you could tell that, like, optimization just doesn't go into it. Like, devs do not care about optimizing their games for the Series S. It's an afterthought. And this is what makes me think that Sony, I think, could make a mistake. Do I still sound really far? It should be fixed by now. Guys, is it not fixed? Please tell me. It should be fixed. It's good now? Okay. It should be good. My software's running. But I feel like the Series S is a mistake because I'm just not seeing the appeal of it. Like, and the reason why I don't see the appeal is because it just, again, it seems like developers don't care about it, man. And Microsoft has to make developers care to the point where you got to make the game run on it. You got to make it playable. But I remember when everybody was like, oh, the Series S is going to be a 1440p, 60 FPS little monster. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's like a 1080p unstable 60 FPS. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that's why, honestly, I feel like if Sony were to do a handheld, I would be nervous if they were like, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the people buying a Series S. I'm not blaming the consumer. I want to make that clear. Like, I don't blame the consumer for being like, well, I bought a Series S for my kids or it's cheap or whatever. That's totally understandable. I'm talking about from a developer standpoint where it's like the fear we had is that are developers going to embrace this? We talked about how there were developers who were concerned where they're like, oh man, we're going to have to optimize, we're going to have to, and whatever. What I'm trying to say is keeping this PlayStation focused is that if Sony were to make a handheld that would essentially be like the equivalent of an Xbox Series S, but for PlayStation, and it's a handheld, I would be very nervous about how that could hold back games on the regular console. Because now we're talking about, okay, right now games are being developed with a PS4 tethered to it, and that sucks because they're being reduced in what they could achieve. The hope is once the PS4 is gone and no longer there, we could see developers finally take full advantage of the PS5. But then if Sony comes out with a handheld and they're like, here's a handheld, and developers are going to be able to make their games work on both, and it's like, so what you're telling me is that PS5 games are going to have to be limited to whatever this PS handheld is. So I almost do kind of think that if Sony is doing a handheld, maybe maybe the cloud would be the best way to go about it. I know not everybody's going to agree with that, but maybe that is the best way to ensure that you can have a handheld. It might not be the most ideal handheld experience, but it's something, and you don't have to worry about any hardware not gaining enough support or holding, the PS5 back. That's what I see it. That's how I see it anyway. So I think I also think that there were a couple patents that came out that it actually did allude to Sony working, or at least concepting a controller with a screen in the middle that was that utilized cloud computing. So who knows? Who knows? I don't know. But what I do know at this point is I think that is the end of this podcast episode, because I pretty much said everything that I could possibly say. And I gotta say this, I've said everything I could possibly say, but I gotta say, this is how you know I talk too long. I talk too much every episode. By the end of it, I can't even, my brain is scrambled. What I'm trying to say is I am excited. I am excited for this upcoming week, because it sounds like Sony is getting ready to potentially make some announcements and make some noise. And I don't know what form that's going to come in, but nonetheless, I am looking forward to it. And I hope it's good. I hope it's exciting. And I hope that we have a lot to talk about over the course of this week. And so, yeah, with that being said, guys, I want to extend a big thank you to everybody who tuned in. For those of you who donated super chats, again, you guys are the absolute backbone of this channel and of this podcast, as well as my channel members. Going to give a quick shout out to my channel members. So big shout out to the Play Has No Limits Plus tier. Shout out to Junior Jackson. Sorry guys, I'm really, you can tell I'm gone at this point. Junior Jackson, Josh Z, Agile Ice 24, Skin Tight Salmon, PlayStation Pete, RU46, N2 Ray, iSiler 18, Whiskey Gaming, Pragmaticat, Chris B, Hidden Leaf Tutaka, Morgan Anstein, Nakamichi. Then we have Play Has No Limits. Shout out to Ivanoa Kachofel, Kenneth A. Kramer, Rune Gasoden, Black Waifus, Ryan Butcher, John Renzies, and Arcan Blitzer, Space Gambler Jr., AJ Saeed, JDTV, Sir Speaks a Lot, Ashorty Faye, Big Norman 0518, Shaky Shako, Tyson Webb 509, Black Manta 1989, Sane JT, Brandon Chad Perez, Adrian Lupton, Introvert Gaming Dude, Kevin Kahan, and also a very big shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the podcast each week. So if you see him in the comments or in the chat, give him a big thank you. And there we go. That's episode 102 of Press X Podcast in the books. I will be back again. Obviously, I'll have regular content scheduled throughout this entire week coming up. But I will be back Sunday, same time, same place for episode 103. And who knows what we will have to talk about. Yes, Press Cross Podcast. I guess that's technically the right way to say it. But all right, guys, that does it. I'm going to go get something to eat. And I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Sunday. But until next time, guys, take care.